Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Venerable Theros, our committee members, invitees, and also our Dhamma friends, both local and overseas. Today we are going to have a very busy time with three Dhamma programs that have been organized by the International Dhamma Program. We are doing this every Poya day, and this time we are having three programs. And today is a very special day. I think the Binara full moon Poya day. And of course, the special significance is, of course, the Bhikkhuni Sasana, which was established by Lord Buddha in India. And of course, I will not go into details. I'm sure our Venerable Thero will be able to talk of it, but it was something that where Prince Siddhartha or Lord Buddha's where Pradapati Gautami was really making a very bold attempt to renounce the lay life and becoming a bhikkhu, and later with the greatest difficulty and also with the help of Venerable Ananda, the Bhikkhuni Sasana was established. So I think on this special day, as I said, we have three Dhamma talks. The first one would be on mindfulness and meditation. And I'm very happy that we have been able to get a very erudite Buddhist monk, Venerable Vatagoda Maggavihari Thero, who is a prominent Theravada Buddhist monk and educator, known for establishing the International Institute of Theravada, or IIT, in Karuwalagaswawa, Sri Lanka. It's quite far away from Colombo, but I think that's a very wonderful place that Venerable Thero has set up. And he teaches Dhamma both locally and internationally. He holds a BA and MA degree from International Theravada Buddhist Missionary University in Yangon, Myanmar, or as some of you would know as Burma, and teaches Dhamma in various countries, including Australia and Hawaii. He practiced meditation in Myanmar under renowned teachers and has also undergone monastic training in the Thai forest tradition. Conducts meditation retreats both locally and internationally, and is currently pursuing a PhD at the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, University of Canada. So thank you very much, Venerable Thero, for accepting our invitation. I know that Venerable Thero is very busy, but he kindly accepted our invitation to give this Dhamma talk. So first of all, I would invite Venerable Thero to give Pansil, and thereafter to commence the Dhamma talk. And then after that, we will have a few questions where some of our panelists and also those who are listening to it will be able to send their questions on Q&A as done normally. So now I invite Venerable Thero, with respect, I invite Venerable Thero to give Pansil and start the Dhamma talk. So
may all of you recite Namo Tassa 3 times to observe the
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Dang Saranang Gacchami.
Dang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Yampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Yampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Atiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Yampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Atiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Yampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Saranaгаmanang sampunnang.
Bhante.
Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Prata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Dana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu miccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Nityācara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Avada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Amire majjapama dattana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Tisaranena sadding panchasilang dhamman sadhukang surakkitang katva appamadena sampade tambang.
Bhante.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today we have gathered here to listen to some reflections, Dhamma, on this Binara full moon day, as Professor Vatawala correctly said, the day on which the Bhikkhuni Sasana was established, making Mahapajapati the first ever Bhikkhuni to receive ordination in our Sasana, and it was followed by another 500 Sakyan females receiving the same ordination under monks, and then later it grew up into a very huge institution that served the women, especially in India and Sri Lanka. So today's topic is about mindfulness, meditation and mindfulness. And this has been a very a topic that had been gaining the momentum within the Western world as well, because the topic is not confined only to Buddhism, but also to any conscious being who is capable of metacognition or who is capable of having reflections about themselves. The word itself says that the mind is attentive. It's not lethargic. It's full. So we are having all these positive qualities in it. So first of all, we should know that according to Buddhism, that there is a very strict line between what is good and bad, which we call ethics in modern in Western philosophy, which is a very broader topic. But in Buddhism, mainly if you thoroughly analyze or investigate the doctrine, we find that good and bad has been explicitly mentioned, defined very well by the Buddha. So there are no gray areas, but when we come into the practicality, sometimes we may have practical issues in defining or determining what is good and bad about certain emotions. But obviously, when we talk about the actions, the good actions and the bad actions are very well defined. But actions are done by the mind. So which triggers these actions are also considered good and bad based on the activity. For instance, killing a human being is considered a bad action, while saving a being is considered a good action. So and all the mentalities that led to this good and bad actions are also defined in the same way as the action is done. So now the then we so in mindfulness meditation, what we are doing is we are developing the wholesome side or the good side in the mind and try to maintain a wholesome mindset throughout the period. And if we are able to do it throughout the whole day, we can say that we are practicing mindfulness to some extent. So, but in terms of a meditation, this has gone into various arenas because now, technically speaking, mindfulness is a mental quality that we define in Theravada as sati, as sati. And sati is a mental quality, is the mental quality that keeps the mind in the wholesome side without letting it moving into the unwholesome path. Because the reason is, though the mind of living beings are pure by nature, as the Buddha has well said in the Anguttara Nikaya, pabassaramidam bhikkave chittang tanchako agantukehi upakkilesehi upakkilitang. The mind of a living being is pure by nature. The default state is a pure state. And it gets defiled by interfering in incoming defilements. So, but still, as we all know, we do possess the potency to the unwholesomeness, which we call the latent tendencies, anusayas, which drags our mind, which has a tendency to take our minds to the unwholesome side. So it's very important that there has to be a force in the mind, a power in the mind that would not let the mind to move into the unwholesome side due to the influence of the defilements or the latent tendencies. So this mindfulness or sati is considered as the mental force which keeps the mind in the wholesome side without letting it to move into the unwholesome arena. So when mindfulness is there, the mind remains in the wholesome, and it will always become very pure and be in a pure and good state. The sati sometimes is defined in our doctrine as the memory or the capacity to recall something, which has been highly discussed in the Sarvastivadin doctrine. But sati, what we are talking here is not about the capacity to recall something from the past, but to keep the mind in a whole attitude. That's what I'm saying. Because we can still recall past with the unwholesome mindset. And for example, a person who had renounced the household life may recall his past lay life with all the pleasures and sometimes with just recalling the past would not some mindfulness, because the very essence of mindfulness is to
I think Bante is having a problem with the internet. Just give us a few minutes here.
I'm back.
Venerable Thera, you can off the video if you think that internet is not good. Can you off the video and can't it's can you off the video and then speak?
Okay, we'll try for this time, and if it happens now.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now fine.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
Right. Right. So, the very essence right. So, very essence of the mindfulness is to keep the mind in the wholesome side. So, therefore, as we were saying, recalling, just the recalling of the past doesn't suffice as the mindfulness, because sometimes you may be a little bit surprised that why I'm talking about the ability in relation of sati in relation to the past, because most of you must be a sun moment. But the thing is, how he has defined sati in many of the sutras is the capacity of a person or a monk to recall something which happened very far away, like very long time ago, and the capacity to recall that, to retain that. That's how the sati has been defined. Chira katampi, chira bhasitampi, sarita anusarita. One who is capable of recalling that was done long time before, and that was spoken long time before. But the commentators have defined it very well, saying that just recalling the past doesn't suffice something to be sati, because if what the Buddha was referring here is the capacity of someone to recall the past events based on, like, in terms of insights, like contemplating that only mind and matter existed those days, even while I was doing such and such in the past. No, there was no person, but only the aggregates existed, and to have that contemplation, insightful contemplation. That's what's meant by recalling with the sati. So, but technically speaking, sati, from if you look into this in terms of philology, normally it refers to recalling the past. But what matters here is, and even Buddha has defined sati based on that definition. And but what matters here is not recalling or remembering anything, but keeping the mind in the wholesome mindset. So that's what is meant by sati. So as an introduction, what I want to emphasize is sati is the mental force which keeps the mind in the wholesome side without letting it to drift into the unwholesome side, because there is a potency or a tendency of the mind due to the unwholesome tendencies, or the latent tendencies, anusayas, that would always that is always seeking an opportunity to drag the mind or to take the mind into the unwholesome side. So sati works against.
Honorable Thero, I think the internet is okay. Maybe you can open the video. It will be better for our participants.
Right. So it's what sati does is it goes against the unwholesomeness and keeps the mind in the wholesome side, and it entrenches and it establishes the mind in the wholesome side. That's the very basic quality of sati. So when we are developing mindfulness meditation, what we are doing is we are cultivating this wholesomeness at that moment. So when this term was introduced, maybe the ones who coined this name had must have had different opinions on that. But now when we are going to define this and explain it in terms of Buddhist perspective or the Buddhist fundamentals, we have to understand mindfulness represents sati and meditation represents bhavana. And when we are combining these two, any meditation practice that involves mindfulness or sati is qualified to be called mindfulness meditation. Maybe the ones who introduced this term had different opinions on that. But when we are giving a talk, or when I'm introducing this terminology, if we go technically into the two terms, we have sati as mindfulness and bhavana as meditation. So when we are combining, it's sort of sati bhavana, a meditation that involves mindfulness. Meditation is the cultivation of mind and development of the mind, and the mind is developed based on sati. So that would be the introduction part. So now what we need to focus is how this meditation of sati or mindfulness can be developed. In my opinion, there are various ways this can be developed, and the most famous, as I would say, is focusing on the breath. That's what has been popular, getting popular in most of the areas in the world. So because Buddha himself has introduced this and said a monk could develop mindfulness and develop wholesome qualities by focusing on the breath. And when we are focusing on this, which is called anapanasati, we are focusing on the breath, and we can develop this focus on this and cultivate a very wholesome mind. But it's not only confined to the breath in terms of Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist teachings. Any meditation that involves mindfulness can be called a mindfulness meditation. If we go into the Theravada doctrine, we find a group of meditations that are termed under Anusati. Anusati means repeatedly recalling. Anusati, repeatedly recalling. You can see the two terms, anu plus sati, anusati. And sati has the basic translation or rendering as recalling. Recalling means bringing into the mind, repeatedly bringing into the mind. And under this terminology, we have 10 meditation subjects. I think most of you are aware of that, which are the Buddhanusati, recalling the Buddha's qualities into the mind; Dhammanusati, recalling the qualities of Dhamma into the mind; Sanghanusati, recalling repeatedly, recalling the Sangha's qualities into the mind; and Silanusati, repeatedly recalling your own virtuous qualities about your own sila. Then Chaganusati, repeatedly recalling your capacity or charitable nature, like what the capacity of giving, your generosity. Then Devatanusati, repeatedly recalling the qualities that you possess, that we possess, in comparison with the deities. Deity, because in order to be born as a deity, one has to have possessed some good qualities such as faith, belief in karma and vipaka, and so forth. And knowing that, or understanding that I myself also possess them, that would eventually lead me to a good destination after death. So these are the 6 Anusati Bhavanas that are introduced in the sutras directly. And then another Anusati is recalling the serenity or the qualities of the Nibbana, the final goal we all are aspiring to attain one day. And then recalling the death, Marananusati, and recalling and also contemplating the foulness of the body, Kaya Gata Sati, or the 32 body parts. And then finally Anapanasati. So all these 10 meditation subjects include the sati element, even within the name itself. So they all can be called meditations of mindfulness. But the most popular is the meditation focusing on breath. And then there's another introduction, like another tendency in the world, in the Buddhist movement, based on the Mahasi technique, which was introduced to the world from Burma, especially by Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, Venerable Venerable Sobhana Mahatera, who learned it from Venerable Sayadaw Jetavana. And this tradition, which was in Myanmar, was introduced to the whole world, and it
close the video. I
became
think
a great
unstable.
movement in 1950s and so forth. And as I have heard, then this yeah, okay. So this meditation directly related to mindfulness, is related to mindfulness. And in this meditation subject, what we are objects that one is encounter approach, like whenever we are hearing has been a sound or felt, we focus on it as heat, and when any of the objects are encountered, any of the sense doors, which is coined as the present moment by some scholars. So in doing so, the yogi would develop insight wisdoms that would naturally come based on the knowledge that he has, and he'll start to see the rising and falling of the phenomena that is experiencing, which is a very interesting subject, which is aligned with the Theravada doctrine as far as we consider. And that also is can be coined as a mindfulness meditation. There are complaints that they cannot hear. Is it the same now?
I think it's the internet, Venerable Theru. You can speak now anyway. It was okay.
I hope I can be heard.
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You can speak, Venerable Theru.
We can touch upon when talking about mindfulness meditation. Yes. So mindfulness meditation, and there is another very interesting point that we need to keep in mind while developing mindfulness throughout the day. Okay, hello.
Yeah, right.
So when we are selecting now I was emphasizing on two factors: developing mindfulness as a mindfulness meditation, and developing mindfulness throughout the day. These are I would rather take them as two different aspects for the convenience of expression. So one can still argue that if you are developing mindfulness throughout the day, that's called meditation. Yes, we have to agree on that to some extent, because mindfulness is development of the mind, or cultivation of the mind. Meditation is the cultivation of the mind. So if you are developing mindfulness as a meditation mindfulness in a meditation subject, we may choose any of the meditation subjects given in the doctrine, which are wholesome, and develop in it, and develop that. So it could be either samatha meditation, developing concentration, or it could even be vipassana meditation, by attentively understanding the three universal characteristics of the phenomena that we experience. So during that time, when we are doing meditation, we have to be fully attentive about the specific subject. And then developing mindfulness throughout the day can also be done in various ways. There is a very nice simile given by my teacher, late most venerable late Navine Aridam Anunayaka Thera. He has given us a very nice analogy on this. He's once said, think about a scenario where you are giving a speech holding a glass bowl on your hand. You're giving a speech holding a glass bowl. So normally when we giving a speech, we tend to move our arms and to express our idea, and that's natural for most of the speakers. And while we are giving this speech, holding the bowl, we are not free to move our limbs or the hands as we do on other occasions, because once we are while we are not holding anything to on our hands, we can move it as we like, and based on the subject topic we are talking. But when there is a glass bowl on your hand, we are not free to do that. So we have to have two attentiveness, because we have to be attentive about what we are speaking. The mind has to be attentive, otherwise the speaker would be speaking something unrelated, and that would make it would lead to a bizarre situation, because we cannot just focus on the glass bowl on our hand, because we are giving a lecture. At the same time, while we are giving the speech, we also have to be attentive about the glass bowl, because otherwise it may fall down, and that would be a mistake. So there have to be dual attention on this case. In our Pali literature, this is called kaka lokana naya. Kaka lokana naya means a method that is used by the crow. A method that is used by the crow. When a crow has grabbed any food and taken it somewhere, while it's eating it, he's always aware whether someone is some enemy or someone is following it. So while it's eating, he's always attentive about the surrounding. So there are two attentions going at the same time. Likewise, while we are giving a speech, holding a glass bowl, we have to be attentive about what we are going to speak, what we are speaking, and also we have to be attentive about handling this fragile thing, which would otherwise fall down and break. So now, these are Mahatera's opinion. When you are mindful, we always need to, whatever activity we are doing, we have to always be aware of our mental state. Now, take this as an example. Now, a monk has a lots of training rules based on the Vinaya that we follow, especially every sect has a huge amount of training rules. It's not only confined to Theravada, actually. So while, for example, while we are eating, there are lots of training rules that we need to consider. It's not that we are contemplating all of them at the same time before eating. No, that's impossible. There are plenty of training rules related to eating. So what we do is we are focused on our eating, the act of eating, but at the same time, there is some sort of attention given naturally to the training rules. So if something, for example, we are not allowed to touch the hand bowl with the food, with a hand or palm smeared with food. We are not allowed to lick our fingers when something like chocolate is smeared on it. But if we move with the natural tendency, a person who is really enjoying the chocolate, who is liking the chocolate, may naturally would try to lick the fingers. But even if such tendency arises in the mind, mindfulness would remind the monk and say, no, you are not, you can enjoying itself is also something not admired. But anyway, you are not breaking a rule by enjoying a food. But if you are licking the fingers, you are crossing the red line. So the mindfulness will give you an alert and saying, no, this is, you cannot cross this line. So you have to, and you must refrain from doing so. For example, when we are eating, if something leftovers, we cannot put it back into the bowl. So sometimes it may happen, but the mindfulness will remind us, no, you are not allowed to do that. So mindfulness is we are doing our activity with a wholesome mindset. At the same time, we are always attentive about other scenarios as well. Especially when we are practicing Sila, a monk who has plenty of training rules, like thousands of training rules, we are not able to always recall the training rules one after another. That's impossible. Otherwise, we'll never be able to live a life. So what we are doing is, while we are involved in our activities, we keep a sort of an attention. We have trained our minds keeping some attention that whenever we are moving towards breaking a training rule, the sati mindfulness would give us an alert. So always our mind would remain in the wholesome. We are not crossing the borders. And this can be extended. So that what we are talking about the sila. So we are not crossing the borders by transgressing verbally and physically. Now this can be extended to our emotions as well. So if we have kept a determination and an attentiveness all the time, that whatever activity I'm doing, whether I'm cooking in the kitchen or whether I'm eating a meal, whether I'm cleaning myself in the bathroom. So if we have kept attention that I will not let the unwholesome thoughts to occupy my mind. So when we are involved in that activity, whenever the mind is drifting towards the unwholesome side, the mindfulness will remind us, no, this is now you are going against teaching. You are trying to cross the borderline. So that would be a very advanced type of mindfulness, which is called Indriya Samvara Sila. So in day-to-day life, what we are supposed to do is to keep this mindfulness as a watch guard of the mind, of our verbal, physical, and mental activities. And this fully aligns with the Buddha's teachings, because the Buddha had said in some sutras, he had given an analogy saying that actually it's mentioned in the doctrine, the mindfulness is, especially mentioned in the commentaries, mindfulness is like a watch guard. A guard who is at the doors would always inquire, like know who is going in and who is going out. And likewise, mindfulness always guards our mind and let us be aware about our physical, mental, and verbal activities. So in day-to-day life, we can develop this mindfulness. It's a nice analogy given by our Mahatera, that always keep it in the glass bowl analogy. Giving a Dhamma talk or giving a speech, holding a glass bowl on your hand. So whatever you are doing, you have to be aware that not to let the mind to go into those sides. So then actually a similar thing happens in our meditation as well. Now that was about keeping mindfulness throughout the whole day. Now we are shifting back into the mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness meditation could be any meditation subject that is involved either in tranquility meditation or insight meditation. So what one supposes do is to contemplate on this object repeatedly again and again. If it is breath, we have to be always attentive about the breath, in breaths and out breaths. If we are contemplating the qualities of the Buddha, always repeatedly contemplating his qualities. If you are cultivating loving kindness, you have to always consider the living beings and pervade them with this loving kindness quality within the mind. And if we are doing vipassana meditation, we are supposed to see the three universal characteristics of the phenomena again and again. So all this can be done only when mindfulness is there. If mindfulness is going away, if there's no mindfulness, mind would be entertaining some other stuff. So that's the next point. Now, even in meditation, the previous analogy would still be applied. Why is that? Now, for example, consider when we are contemplating breaths, in breaths and out breaths, for instance. So while contemplating, is natural that the mind would start to go into something past or something future or something that is unrelated. So at that time, the more the mindful we are, we will be given the notice, oh, you are going out of the track. So if the mindfulness was very weak, it may take some time to bring back your mind, which has gone astray. But if the mindfulness is very strong, it's able to notice on the moment it has left the meditation subject. So that's mindfulness. So while we are focusing, while we are focusing on the object, we are having an extra attention that the mind may not go away from this object. So it's similar to that analogy. While we are giving the speech, we are always attentive about the glass ball. At the same time, while we are attentive, there's sort of attention that doesn't let the mind to go away. So whenever it goes back, we drag it back. We bring it back into the meditation subject. And then at a higher level of meditation, a yogi, while he's contemplating on the meditation object, either it's breath or whatever subject we have chosen, before it shifts away, before it's starting the drifting, the yogi would understand there is sort of an imbalance in my faculties. That's a very important thing. Before the shifting happens, because shifting always happens due to an imbalance of the faculties, which is called sankilesa, or a defiled state of meditation. In our advanced studies, we normally define this, that the meditation has a defiled state. Defiled state of meditation is not the occupation of defilements. When the faculties are imbalanced, that is the red flag that our meditation is going on the wrong direction. But still he's focusing on the object. Still the mind is wholesome, but wholesomeness retains only when the faculties are well balanced. So when there's an imbalance in the faculties, still the mind is in the wholesome side. It is now drifting. It had started the drift towards the unwholesome side. So when the mindfulness is very strong, the yogi would understand now the mind, that the mind is not having a firm grip on the wholesome side, and even the yogi would be able to figure out, now I have to balance these faculties. So maybe he has to change the posture, or maybe he has to change the meditation subject, or maybe he has to do the relevant stuff that would increase his loosen faculties, or to lessen the excessive faculties. So faculties have to be balanced. So therefore, mindfulness acts as a guiding guide on meditation as well. So then the final point that I would like to emphasize is that being aware of the present moment, which is another movement in the mindfulness meditation. So if I recap what I've done so far, discussed so far, we define what is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness being sati, and meditation being cultivation of mind. So any meditation subject or any activity that involves any development of mind involving mindfulness can be termed as mindfulness meditation. And this could include all the meditation subjects taught in Buddhism. And then we moved on to the subjects that are more in line with meditation. We have 10 Anusati Bhavanas, and also it includes Anapanasati, which is a famous meditation technique that is used by most of the yogis. And also we define mindfulness with the past. Actually, that's how sati has been defined. The capacity of a yogi to recall the past, something that was said far in the long past, and the yogi is able to recall them with the wholesome mindset. It's not with the unwholesome mindset. It's not that a monk is recalling and enjoying the sensual pleasure that he had in lay life. He should be able to recall them in terms of insightful thoughts. So then we moved on to day-to-day meditation practice, and we talked about the glass bowl analogy. And also, while we are in the meditation, there's the same attentiveness must be there, because whenever it's shifting away from the meditation subject, we have to bring the mind back. And when mindfulness is very strong at a certain level, even before the drift happens, the yogi is aware that meditation is not functioning properly. So he would fix it. Then, so it is acting as a guide. Actually, it's acting as a guide. Then we are moving into another topic that is a very popular topic of being aware of the present moment awareness, because it's a very practically known fact that when you bring your attention to the present moment, and when you're focusing on what you are doing, maybe to your posture, or maybe to if you're typing, you're fully focused on the typing, or whatever activity is done, naturally the mind tends to be wholesome, which is a practical thing, which doesn't need any doctrinal affirmation. because whenever we are focused on the present moment, we know that the mind becomes free from defilements in most of the occasions. So that's naturally what happens. But then one can still argue, what about a cat aiming at a bird for hunting? Or what about a sniper who is fully focused on shooting at his victim or the enemy? Isn't he aware of the present moment? Yes, there is a present moment awareness that he is very attentive on what he is doing, but that's not the present moment awareness that we are talking here. So here we are talking about bringing your attention with a wholesome mindset to make the mind free from suffering. That's our purpose. So this also leads to another very interesting notion in Buddhism. What matters is not about the object of the awareness, whether you are focusing on the present moment or whether you are focusing on the past, whether you are focusing on the future. That doesn't matter. What matters from the very beginning is your intention. If person is focusing on the present living being with the intention of killing it, it is an unwholesome thing. If the person is focusing on the present moment living being in order to support it or to be aware, to develop awareness about it, that's wholesome. So in the end, the objects, where the object is located, whether it's past, present, or future, doesn't matter in the end. From the very beginning, what matters is what is your intention. That's why a leg can be amputated with a doctor with a wholesome mind, and the same leg could be cut by an enemy with an unwholesome mind. So the same activity could be done with two different intentions. Devadatta attacked the Buddha and harmed his body, and Jivaka later on came and cut the skin and removed the clot, and he accumulated a great merit. So the two people who, in both the cases, they were harming the Buddha's body, they were damaging the Buddha's body. So the doctrine says Devadatta could not bring out blood from his body because of his body was something very special. So anyway, both were harming in one sense, attacking the Buddha's body, but they were having two different intentions. So likewise, intention matters in the very first place. So when we are focusing on the present moment, we are having a wholesome intention. So we don't need to bring about the cat's analogy here. We don't bring about the sniper's analogy here, because sniper and cat is having two different thoughts, like two different intentions to kill someone. So we are not bringing when we are bringing the present moment mindfulness, if you are cleaning or brooming, cleaning the room, or we are sweeping the room, we bring the attention to this activity, we are trying to be more aware. We are not going to do something bad. That's why we say when you are attentive in the present moment, mindfulness is always there, which is not correct if you take the entire spectrum of the activities. There can be someone who is presently attentive while doing something unwholesome. For example, think about someone who has snuck into a room and taking information from the boss's computer. He has to be very much aware either whether someone is coming, whether I'll be heard, whether the CCTV cameras are working. So at the same time, he's stealing the information from the computer. So he's very much attentive about what is going on at the same time, but still his intentions are wrong. So this is completely a different arena. So when we are aware present moment, it's naturally understood that the mind becomes very much wholesome. So it's highly recommended by some teachers. In order to develop the present moment mindfulness, we thing that we can do is always be aware about what we are doing. For example, while I'm giving this talk under this technique, I should always have a second thought going in my mind that I'm giving a Dhamma talk to this audience. For example, if I'm eating, I always, rather than focusing on the foulness of the body or the components of the food. One can develop mindfulness by being aware, always recalling to the mind the fact that I'm eating. So sometimes while we eat, we are thinking something else. So at that time, the yogi has to train his mind, had to teach his mind that while I'm eating, I'm not supposed to think something else. I'm supposed to fully give attention to what I'm eating. So that's what the Thai tradition normally, this is very highly emphasized in the Thai tradition. Actually, while I was there, they were fully giving attention to this aspect. Whenever you are doing something, fully focus on it. And if I bring some doctrinal aspect into it, this practical thing, you can be aware of various things. We can be aware about the activity what we are doing, to make it always recall to the mind that I'm doing this, and try to keep the mind always pure from unnecessary thoughts and fully plunge into what you are doing. Another way of doing it, if you bring the technique introduced by Mahasi Sayadaw, we can be focused on all the movements of our body, which can delay your activities to some extent, but it still can be done with a moderate speed. If you have been to any of the meditation centers in Mahasi, you may find that you might have seen that the meditators are rather very slow in their movements, and which would be not practical in day-to-day lives. Yes, that's obviously yes. But normally, even the Sayadaws have said, Theras have said, teachers have said, in day-to-day life, you can maintain a moderate speed, but while still being aware of your bodily movements. That's another way of doing that. So always in whatever, whether we are focusing on the activity that we are doing or whether we are focusing on the movements of our body, and some teachers such as Shaming Sayadaw emphasizes whenever you are doing something, always keep an attention about the state of your mind. For example, this is very important in a discussion. For example, think about an argument, discussion going on between two things, facts that you are not, the two people are not agreeing upon each other. Disagreements. Naturally, the mind shifts to the anger side, and we will try to either defend ourselves or defeat the other person. That's natural. It normally happens in family lives very often, between the partners, and also between siblings, children and parents, and even colleagues. This could happen. Especially it happens during the election periods when you're talking about your preferred candidate. Always disagreements keep on coming. So one is asked to always keep attention about the mind. In this case, you're not focusing and contemplating that you're speaking. You're not focusing much about you are focusing, you know what you're talking. You are not fully focused on that subject. At the same time, while you are attentive at the speech, you're always constantly watching your state of mind, whether my mind is shifting from the wholesome side to the unwholesomeness. So that would also be a present moment awareness. So present moment awareness, I divide into three aspects: being fully focused on what you are doing, or being fully focused on the status of your body, how the body is kept, and repeatedly recalling it back and forth again and again while you are doing that activity. At the same time, as some teachers suggest, keeping a watch eye at your mind, the status of your mind. So this would be you will always be in the present moment. So, and someone, if someone was very attentive of the speech, they may ask, isn't that similar to the glass bowl analogy, that while you are doing something, you are always attentive about yourself? Is true. So everywhere the glass bowl analogy is applied. So that was a very nice simile gave by our Mahatera. Even while we are meditating, even while we are developing mindfulness in day-to-day activities, or even while we are being present moment aware at this all the time, the mindfulness is acting as such. Like you are focused on the activity, at the same time you are keeping a watchful eye on what's going in your mind, not letting the mind to go into astray. So finally, to conclude, even if you are, for example, there can be some traditional Buddhists who are and who faithful Buddhists who are more inclined into a different meditation subject. Some prefer to contemplate the Buddha's attributes throughout the whole day. Some tend to contemplate Dhammas throughout the whole day. Isn't this a subject of mindfulness? Yes. Technically speaking, yes. So that's why in the beginning, I started, even while you are focusing on the past or future or present moment, keeping the mind in the wholesome side is what matters in the end. So even if you are contemplating on Buddha's attributes throughout the day, you're contemplating some kind of a meditation subject throughout the day, that would still suffice as mindfulness. So that would be my lecture, and I hope I didn't. I'm not sure whether I have passed my time. So yeah, that would be the lecture. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Venerable Theru. I think we have another 10 minutes available.
Okay, right.
Q&A. I know that Bante Sujato has also come in, but it does not matter because I think we have given the time. Bante, is that all right that we take a few questions? Bante?
Please do. I would love to hear what the questions are.
Right, thank you. Thank you. So, are there, our panelists are there?
Yeah, I asked permission from Bante, so may I continue? Okay, so
Venerable, good to see you.
actually, Bante visited us a few years back. I was not here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm from IIT from Sri Lanka.
Bante Anamadua Institute. We visited.
Anamadua.
Yeah, in Anamadua. We visited and we there was a dana.
Yes, I was not there at that day. Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, Bante, sir.
Right, thank you. Can I, Bandula, you have any questions you would like to take up?
I think he covered or gave a good overview, but also two other points I would like to bring up. What are the preconditions that help a person to bring up the mindfulness to the mind? That's one question.
Okay.
If you can.
Yeah, we can go with the questions. Yeah.
Yeah, try with the first one. It's.
You can give the. Bandula,
what is the precondition? What is the precondition that will allow a person to bring the mindfulness to the mind?
Okay, so there can be various conditions based on what I have studied and what I have experienced. So one condition would be we find practically it's very difficult to constantly keep the mindfulness like in constant stage, like all the time. So that's a very challenging task for who is starting this practice. That's something quite difficult task. So what we have to develop is the prerequisite that enhances or brings the mindfulness. And then that would be the wholesome effort, as the doctrine says, a wholesome effort. Wholesome effort means when we are involved in some wholesome subject, any whatever activity, the energy that would keep your mind constantly involved in that activity. So as the Theravadins explained, virya or effort, it's different from chetana. Chetana is the intention to do something. Virya is the energy of the mind that would keep the mind involved in the activity till the end. So it energizes the mind. It energizes. So that's why normally we render it as energy, but at the same time, it's called paggahana kicca. It would elevate the qualities, to strengthen the mind, and increases its capacity to be in this activity without giving it up. So one has to be always involved in wholesome activities if one needs to develop mindfulness, because mindfulness in one sense ensures that the mind is in the wholesome side. It's not going into the unwholesome side. So in order to do that, one has to constantly involved in the activities regardless of all the hardship. For example, if someone is having a meditation subject throughout the day, whatever, regardless of the occasion, regardless of the circumstances, we are supposed to be involved in the meditation all the time. And for that, faith is required. Because why are we constantly involved in these activities, like wholesome activities, while there's an opportunity to go into the sensual side or to gratify our senses? Because people believe, because they haven't had the clear understanding, full understanding. They have a sort of understanding in the beginning, otherwise they would not come into the Buddha's practice, as the Chanki Sutra says. So there has to be a basic understanding, and that would bring forth the faith, the belief in the doctrine. Even though he has not seen or not experienced the higher levels, he has some faith. Yes, this path makes sense and I may be able to achieve such tasks. So that's why he's putting effort. So faith brings forth effort. Effort here means the energy to continue, because everything is based on the chetana, the intention to do, the effort to do. That's a different thing, because without effort, nothing would come into accomplishment. So energy, even though we have started things, with the energy must keep the mind active and energized, so that he would always be involved in this activity. A nice definition also is given in the commentaries on this. Ussahati is another terminology that is used for sati. Used for virya, energy, ussahati. It is a sort of a folk etymology, but still, since it makes some importance, I would like to emphasize on that. Ussahati has been divided to the prefix ud and sahati. Sahati means to tolerate. Ud refers to the suffering that one is encountering. So if ussahati means when someone is involved in a certain activity, he constantly keeps on going on it, regardless of the suffering or hardship he has. So faith gives rise to energy. And if you are fully involved in this activity, energy represents that you are doing it again and again till the end. And that would develop mindfulness. And mindfulness would be the basis for concentration, and that would be the basis for the wisdom. So this is a one approach. There can be various approaches on saying how mindfulness can be developed. I took the approach that is explained by the teachers in the based on the five faculties. So faith leads to energy, and if you are constantly putting energy and involving in good activities, mindfulness will be developed, and mindfulness leads to concentration, and it leads to wisdom. So finally, this all depends on what you are doing. That's why I started the lecture saying it's very clear in Buddhist teachings, something is good and something is bad. There can be some gray areas in the practicality, but the wholesome and unwholesome has been very well defined in the teachings. So what we have to choose to do the wholesome things, that's a decision that we make based on our yoniso manasikara, our attentiveness, and choose what is good. First, we choose what to be done, the wholesome things, practicing sila, practicing meditation or whatever, and having faith on it, putting energy constantly, and that would eventually gives rise to mindfulness. That's
Thank you.
I said, because otherwise we find difficulties in developing mindfulness from the very beginning. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable Thero. I'll take a question which has come on Q&A. This is from Otavio, from Brazil, long distance away. How do I know the proper level of mindfulness to shift from samatha to vipassana? And she also says switch to an unwholesome state. How do I know?
Yeah, first of all, when you are shifting from samatha to vipassana, you can do it at any stage. There are various, as the commentators say, that you can start even directly the vipassana meditation. But Venerable Lady Sayadaw in his manuals have suggested that he would rather suggest that someone would develop at least, now, for example, mindfulness based on anapanasati, mindfulness on breath. he has suggested at least to gain some concentration or mindfulness to the level that you are capable of counting the breaths without mingling or without making making like continuously without making any mistakes. If you're capable of counting the breaths to few sets of breaths, normally the commentators say to count between the 5 and 10 sets, and if you're capable of doing that for some extent, in our training we normally go for 50 sets of 10 breaths, and that would suffice as a very good stage of mindfulness. And Sayadaw says for some yogis, even that would act as a basis of concentration for vipassana meditation. But for some, they may go giving up the counting and still focuses on the breath, and at a certain stage, they may go into practice. And some after the patibhaga nimitta has appeared, and for some after they have attained the jhanas. So therefore, it is a very subjective thing, and you can the yogi has to be confident to decide whether he's ready for the insight meditation or not. Because if the thing is, more the concentrated your mind is, you find it very easy to do the meditation subject. And it's very highly recommended if someone has developed the jhanas. Yes, that would be a very fine basis for someone to go into wholesome insight meditation. Then how to decide something is unwholesome? When this comes, if it's a very philosophical question, actually, I would rather say, because that is one of the pressing questions in Western philosophy, what is good and bad in terms of ethics. So here Buddha has said very clearly what is good and bad based on the actions that he has defined. Now, for example, he would say killing, stealing, and all these are bad actions. And the mentalities that would follow, that would encourage them, trigger them, would be considered bad, such as lobha, dosa, moha, raga, dosa, moha, lust, hatred, and delusion. And everything that is related to that should be considered as something unwholesome. So then we have, in some Abhidhamma scholars have given something further below that. So another way to define what is bad is in terms of the tranquility that you experience in your mind. Because defilements are called kilesas that would burn the mind and defile the mind, and that would surely lead for someone to lose the tranquility. The mental peace would be lost. So if we are experiencing some sort of agitation in our mind, even we are not well versed about all the mentalities in terms of sutras or Abhidhamma or whatever terminologies the Buddha has used, if we are not aware of that, if we can still note through a subjective experience that when the mental peace is lost, something has gone wrong. That's the one way of looking into it. And also it has a sort of effect on the body. It has an effect on the body, and we can feel the state of the body is different, because we know that in I forgot the name of the sutra actually, because when the Buddha was defining the peace bliss in jhanas, he defined the mental bliss of being free from the defilements, and also the physical bliss one would experience while being in a jhana. So therefore, when we are experiencing the wholesome side, Buddha has given, because jhana is a very higher stage of wholesomeness. So mental peace and the physical bliss, these are two different conditions that would enable us to understand the wholesome side. At the same time, that this is applicable to the unwholesome side as well. In the unwholesome side, the mental peace will be lost due to the influence of defilements, and the physically we are feeling some sort of agitation compared to the wholesome. And that can be known by a person who has in my experience, a person who has experienced the wholesome state of the body. Wholesome state of the body means when the mind is wholesome, body is felt differently. The body is felt differently. In Abhidhamma, we attribute to something called chittaja rupas. Without going to these technicalities, we can see that there's a different how the body is felt to the person is subjectively. So when we are having an unwholesome mindset, yes, there's a negative feeling in the body. So some Abhidhamma scholars, especially Chandavimala Mahathera, has defined wholesome and unwholesomeness in the Abhidhamic level, saying that if something causes to burn the mind. Burning the mind means causing it some agitation. And if something is bringing unwholesome physical states, which is called mind-born matter. Anyway, physical states, then we are able to define, yes, this is wrong. So even we are not familiar with the terminologies the Buddha has used to define good and bad, wholesome and unwholesome, this could be a very interesting subjective evaluation that we can make to define what is good and bad. I don't know whether...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero. I think there are a few more questions, but maybe due to time, we will try to end it. So I must thank Venerable Watagoda Magavihari Thera for that very, I should say, it's a practical talk that Venerable Thero gave, and especially on the mindfulness and also on the meditation area. This, I think, is mainly, I don't know whether Venerable Thero is also, since there's a big institute there, whether any classes or whether any meditation programs are being conducted. If that is being done, if you can just mention, maybe it might be useful to our Dhamma friends who are listening.
At the moment, we are conducting a lecture series on which is termed as Adi Chitta Sikha. Adi Chitta Sikha means developing the higher mind, and which is based on Visuddhi Magga actually, and Patisambhida Magga. We are going, because we are teaching it here in the institute for the students. So we are going in depth and trying to. We have already done the Kasina meditation, and there have been successful. There has been successful meditators who have attained the higher stages as well through our online advisors. So, and it's not a meditation session; it's a theoretical lecture series going on. Now we have, I think, conducted over 30 or plus lectures, and now we just initially finished the Nevasanya and Asanyayatana, and there are some yogis who have developed into jhanas as well. So particularly one lady. So then but practically we are not conducting any meditation sessions online. Then there are few sessions. One session annually conducted. Due to the schedule in the institute, I'm unable to conduct more lectures during the weekdays actually. So during the vacations, we are conducting maybe 5 to 6 day programs in Vipassana meditation. And this time it will be held from 1st of November till 6th of November in Kandy, in Kotmale. And other than that, all are conducted in Sinhalese actually. We haven't started any English meditation program, but there is a English course going on Patisambhida Magga, and there's a fundamental course on Theravada teachings, which is taught on every Friday morning. And now we have reached, I think, more than 100 lectures on that. And we are dealing with all the basic fundamentals, including Abhidhamma Suttas, on how to define Theravada based on the commentaries, sub-commentaries. So we are taking the entire thing as a one bulk and trying to define what Theravada is. So, and Patisambhida courses are held on every Wednesday from 5 to 5:30 to 6:15, 5:15 to 6:15, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero. We are, I think, very thankful and pay much merit to Venerable Thero for making available your valuable time. I know the very busy life that you're having, especially giving various Dhamma talks, and especially on this very special day, as I mentioned, on the Poya Day and on the Binara full moon Poya Day. So we will I know that Venerable Thero is conducting a lot of programs, so I'm sure that all those would be successfully done, and we pay much merit to Venerable Thero. And I will now invite Venerable Thero to pay merit to the Devas and the departed, and then we conclude the session. So
we shall transfer all the merits with all the beloved deceased ones, and also with the deities. May all of them be happy, and may the deities protect the sasana, and also may everyone with the help of this merit, attain the final bliss of Nibbana. And I all wish all of you that may all of your endeavors become successful, and especially have a very nice session with our Bante. And also may all of your wholesome aspirations be fulfilled. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika. Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sambuddha sasanang. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika. Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sambuddha desanang. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika. Punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sambuddha savakang. Cirang rakkantu tvan sada. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo. Satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Sabba dukkha pamuncatu.
So, thank you very much, Bante. I'm sure that with all the Dhamma work that you are doing, that you will be able to achieve the final goal of achieving Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bante, may I have permission to sadhu?
Thank you so much, Venerable.
Right. Thank you. So,
Very good.
we will just stop for a few minutes.
And whenever
meeting is being
you've got
recorded.
time to start.
Right, okay. So I have put the recording, so we can
Okay.
start now. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
So,
sadhu.
today we are very happy to welcome Bante Sujato, who is also known as Bhikkhu Sujato, and also Ajahn Sujato. Bhikkhu Sujato is no stranger to us, been with us for many Dhamma talks. So I'm very thankful that Bante is here. But I think Bante has done a great service, especially for Sri Lanka, because Bante was here in Sri Lanka recently, and where Bante distributed the Tripitaka translations in English to many other schools. And I know that Bante went outstations and visited some of the Piriyanas, so I'm sure that that would have been a good experience. Plus, maybe Bante before at the start could say a few words maybe about that, because I'm sure it is something that was very, very useful. 1,000 books that we were looking at, and also for the Piriyanas where they can use it. That's the most important thing. And
Right.
we are very thankful to Bante for that effort. And of course, not forgetting Deepika, because she's the one who's been behind the whole project and coordinating it, and made a great success of the whole project. So, Deepika, we are very thankful to you, and I'm sure that there'll be much merit that will flow to you for this very important project that took place. And I must also say thanks to some, there were quite a number of our Dhamma friends who had contributed, and they were also there, I think, because we had occasion where Bante was present at the friends at the Dhamma talk that was given by you, and we were able to invite many of them who had made donations to come and see Bante and to speak to Bante. So once again today, actually I must say that Bante, I have been telling it always, that the Sutta Central, that is something co-founder, plus many of the translations into English which are freely available, and that's a great service that Bante has done, and it has been building, and we are very happy that all these have resulted in good results, and also the close relationship that have been there for Sri Lanka. I think Bhante also conducted a meditation program that was there. So I'm sure that these are benefits that we are getting. And of course, our programs, a number of them that were conducted. So I must thank Bhante Sujato and of course Deepika, who's always supporting us and arranging and the programs with Bhante. Thank you very much, Deepika, for your very generous time you are making available to us, and also for making things successful and for spreading the Buddha Dhamma. So today we have a very interesting topic. It's about AI, because actually the area that this is because we are planning on the 16th and 17th. Maybe it's not on Buddhism. This is on AI in Buddhism, but it's relating to our accounting profession, where we are looking into AI and looking at the impacts that it will have on our profession. So it's another major event that we are planning. I think all events I see that are being planned at the moment is connected with the AI. Where we are talking of the security, cyber security, and of course the various other things that have been done to help. And people are very worried whether we may not be doing any teaching hereafter, or students learning as a result of this AI that is coming in. So with those remarks, I must also thank all our committee members who have been helping us. I think Kamal is there and many of the others. And also all our Dhamma friends who have been coming and supporting us in very many of these programs and staying with us. Let me thank also all of them. And I would now invite Bhante to start the Dhamma talk, because we've already taken Pansil in the earlier one. So maybe we can start the Dhamma program straight away. Sadhu, sadhu.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Lakshman, and Kamal, Nalindra, and of course Deepika. Good to see you all here. Deepika, so see you again. Second time today after Parramatta, and Deepal, good to see you as well. And all the folks who I can't see, who I'm sure are out there, because there's a number here. I guess you've all been reduced to just being a number, but I know that behind that number that there is a real person. And I want you to know that Dr. Dilsiri, good to see you as well. I want everybody to know that behind that number, I know that you're real people there, most of you. Some of you maybe not, but most of you are pretty sure are real people with loves and hates and lives and losses and memories and all of those things that make human beings human. And I hope that I can share with you a few words of Dhamma today to help us to honor that.
Excuse me, Bhante, no. Since
Yes.
you mentioned Deepal, I think Deepal has an important notice. I think if you can just maybe read that out, Deepal.
Please, yeah, Deepal.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, Deepal.
Still, right, okay, fine.
Still cannot hear.
Can't hear. Deepal can't hear. Can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Fine.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay. And thank you so much, Bhante, for the permission to interrupt the session
please,
before
yeah.
you start. This is about Venerable Olande Ananda, who has been
right.
one of the first Buddhist monks to have joined this program when Professor Lakshman started. He completes his 50 years in monkhood on the 21st of September this year. And we are planning to have a online discussion with him on 21st at 4:30 Sri Lanka time. The details will be put up in his Facebook page and on his Zoom platform. And this is just to announce that if you can please keep your diary free, we will let you know. He is currently traveling, and he's completing 50 years as a Buddhist monk and mostly living in Sri Lanka. So it's a very pleasant thing to do. Thank you.
It's an online program, no? Online, isn't it, Deepa?
Yes, it's online. It's online.
Oh, thank you so much, Deepal. Sounds like a wonderful
Thank you, Bhante.
event.
Yeah.
All right, so where was I? Oh, yes, we're here, we're human beings, and we're going to talk about AI, which is not a human being. So let's make that distinction right at the beginning. Human beings matter because they feel. The Buddha said, Vediya manasa, to one who feels is who I teach the Four Noble Truths. AIs do not feel. They're not conscious. I'm going to return to this later on. When we're thinking about AI, we have to find some way to use the values and the wisdom that we have learned from the Buddha to apply it in a situation that is almost unthinkable from the Buddha's lifetime. Right? Nobody in 500 BC was worrying about computers and artificial intelligence. The concepts didn't exist. So we're going to have to find some way to draw upon the Buddha's wisdom and to apply it in a very new context. And it's a matter of urgent importance that we do so, because as Lakshman pointed out, this is something that affects all of our lives, and we're all using AI technology all the time, whether we like it or not, implicitly or explicitly. It's under the hood of all those computers and everything that we're using. And so clearly there have been a lot of developments in this field, especially in the last 3 to 4, 5 years, especially since OpenAI and ChatGPT. And a lot of the issues have really come to the surface, which has happened very suddenly and in a way that's had an overwhelming effect on a number of different contexts, particularly. And again, to concur with Lakshman there, he raised the concern about education. And this is, of course, a major concern. Some time ago, there was a problem in OpenAI. They suddenly, for a 2-week period in the Philippines, nobody was using OpenAI. No one was using ChatGPT. And the people at OpenAI were trying to figure out what's happening. Why did everyone in the Philippines stop using ChatGPT for 2 weeks? And then they figured out that was school holidays. Which is giving you a sense for what it's actually being used for. Recently, actually, when we were on our trip in Sri Lanka, it's actually when we were at the BMICH, we were the MC for that event. What's the name? Misha, what's her name? Misha, yeah. Talking with her, she actually teaches AI at the universities in Sri Lanka. And we had a short chat about it, and one of the things that she said was that it was becoming difficult even to teach AI, okay, because all the students just answer the questions using AI. So AI is making it impossible to teach AI. And one of the things she pointed out was how suddenly this happens. And we've, of course, seen a lot of concern in international press about the different effects and so on. But one of the things that's always foremost in my mind is the effects will be often quite different, perhaps even more drastic in developing nations compared to developed nations, because the capacity to have meaningful government intervention and control and social control and so on is going to be diminished. So I think it's important that we take AI seriously, and that we discuss it seriously from a Buddhist framework. And so I'm going to do that this evening or this afternoon, I think for most of you. I'm going to use the 5 precepts as a framework for understanding AI. And when I say the 5 precepts, I'm going to be drawing on more or less the values which are underlying the 5 precepts. Of course, when we talk about the precepts themselves are very simple, but they are an expression of underlying values which are very dear and very central to the heart of all of us as Buddhist practitioners. So those values can inform our ethical response to how we think about AI and how it works. So let us start. Hopefully, I'm sure everybody knows what the 5 precepts are: not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct, not to lie, not to take alcohol and drugs. Fine. Let's begin with not killing. All right. So not killing, for those of you who, like me, grew up on a diet of mostly science fiction, will remember Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, of which the first one is that thou shalt not, a robot shall not kill a human being, nor through inaction allow a human being to come to a human being's life to end, to be killed. And that's the first. That's what when Isaac Asimov was thinking about how robots were going to affect humanity 70 years ago, that was the first thing that came to mind, that there has to be a foundational rule which is prohibiting any kind of machine from deliberately killing human beings. And of course, here we are 70 years later, and I do not need to tell you that we have completely failed to do even that most basic of things. So computers do not have a first law which is preventing them from killing human beings. And in fact, computers, on the contrary, are routinely set to the task of killing human beings. And this happens quite deliberately through the application of computers and AI in defense, or we should probably call it just in war. In Gaza, for example, there are multiple AI systems which select targets by the Israeli Defense Forces, which identify people based on certain heuristics of who they think is going to be a target. They have one program, another AI program that they call Where's Daddy? Literally, that's the name of the program, is Where's Daddy? And the purpose of Where's Daddy is to, once the target has been identified, to follow them back to their house so that they can blow their house up while they're having dinner in the evening with their family. That's the purpose of Where's Daddy, to make sure all of them are killed, not just the person they've identified as the target. This is how AI is being used right now. And there are multiple applications for this, and I don't even, like, the amount of ways that this can be used, used and misused are unthinkable. To think about, for example, facial recognition combined with drones to, say, kill everybody who fits a certain racial profile, for example, right? These are the kinds of possibilities which routinely become possible through the application of AI. But the problems with AI and the first precept are not limited to purely military applications. Because when the Buddha was talking about the first precept, he said, I think this is really something that I always remember, and it's very moving to me from the sutras. It says, you do not kill, that you instead, you live with a heart full of compassion for all living creatures. Yeah, this is the real meaning of that first precept. Not just avoiding killing, but to live with a heart full of compassion for all living creatures. Now, it is a common flaw of human beings that we tend to value some people more than others. We value our family, or we value people from the same race or the same culture. We value people who are like us, and we devalue others. And that kind of discrimination or bigotry is something that we could never imagine the Buddha doing. And from the foundations of the Buddha's teaching is based on sabbe sata. Sabbe sata bhavantu sukhi hotu. Let alone discriminating on the basis of race or color or gender or anything like that. The Buddha wouldn't even discriminate on the basis of species. He extended that value and that preciousness of life to all living creatures. And it's that preciousness and that magnificence of life which is at the heart of this ethic of to not kill. Recently, I've been reading a book. In fact, today, just finished a book today by a computer scientist called Joseph Weizenbaum. And he wrote a book called Computer Power and Human Reason, I think it's called. And Weizenbaum is I found him quite an interesting and very inspiring writer. He was a Jew in Germany, was an adolescent in the 1940s and survived the Holocaust. Went out to America and studied computer science and became one of the first generations of computer scientists. And in fact, he became, he's most famous for developing a computer program called ELIZA. And ELIZA is a very famous program because it was the first chatbot. It's basically the ancestor of ChatGPT and all of the ones we're using today. So ELIZA, he wrote in the 60s, and it's based on a fairly simple script that you would, a user would input something and then the computer would respond. And he wrote that program from the ground up, so he knew how it works. Now, when he wrote that, he thought that an easy way of doing that would be to make the computer into a Rogerian therapist. So it's a particular kind of therapy that's based on the therapist basically just mirroring things back to you, right? So you say something like this. The therapist says, "How are you today?" You said, "Oh, I got in an argument with my father yesterday." "Oh, really? Tell me more about your father." "Well, we had a difficult upbringing. We've been back and forth, but, it's okay." And then the computer would say, "Well, I'm glad that it's okay." And then you say, "Well, I'm trying my best, but," and then it says, "Well, tell me what your best looks like," and things like that. So the computer is just mirroring back to you what you're saying and getting you to follow your train of thought. That's what a Rogerian therapist does. And so he trained this more or less just as an experiment in computer science to see what would happen. But what he found quite disturbing. He found that people were almost eager to over-attach themselves to that machine, and that they projected onto that machine a level of understanding, empathy, compassion. Even in one case, I think he asked his secretary to try out the machine, and then she, after a few minutes, asked him to leave the room so she could talk to the machine in private. And so he found even such a primitive machine, he found this human tendency to over-identify and to read meaning in it. It shouldn't really be surprising. People have been looking for meaning in the shapes of the clouds, or in the tea leaves, or in the stars for a long time. And we seek out meaning in things. And so it doesn't take much for that computer to convince us that it has meaning. And Weizenbaum analyzed this, and he analyzed it in terms of the psychiatric disorder of obsessive compulsive behavior. And he showed that there was a whole class of computer programmers who were behaving in these obsessive compulsive ways. And he believed that this was a disorder which was being brought about by these computers. Now, this book that he wrote was in 1976, okay? 1976, and he's already seeing very clearly all of the problems that we're seeing today with ChatGPT. It's not that these problems have not been identified, and it's not that there wasn't a critique from a senior person in the field. It's that they just ignored those critiques and went on. So there's this problem of that over-identification. Now, so this is one problem. And we see this today with psychosis. We see people who have committed suicide. We see people who have fallen in love with their machines, broken up marriages. And it creates a psychotic relationship with a machine. So this is very hard to avoid, actually. And the reason that it is because the machine tells us what we want to hear. This is the number one thing about ChatGPT. It tells us, it affirms us, it tells us what we want to hear. And particularly in the realm of therapy, this is very dangerous. Right? This is very dangerous, and it will lead us down a dark path. I found it interesting reading Weizenbaum to see how closely the history of the computer and AI was bound up with the history of psychology. Specifically, the computer was invented in order to be a thinking machine. Right from the beginning, Alan Turing was about how do we know the difference between a machine that's thinking and a human thinking. This was foundational to the whole idea of the computer. It's what they were doing since the 1950s. How do we build a machine that thinks, or at least a machine that can fool you into thinking that it's thinking? Yeah. So what really concerned Weizenbaum about this was dehumanization. He saw that in order to create these machines, that the engineers and the scientists and the programmers were reducing humanity to being nothing more than a process, just like the machine process. And he gives many examples in his book of people talking in this way. And this is something that, 50 years later, we can see is still being done all the time. Just a simple example, like you, Lakshman, you mentioned about, in your accounting firm, and people like, what's the future of AI going to be here? How are we going to use it? But the fact that that is even a question is because people are thinking of human beings as being nothing more than input-output machines, right? If we can get that same input-output from a machine, we don't need the human beings. So this is what Weizenbaum was talking about when he's talking about dehumanization. That we are systematically undermining the concept and the value of a human being by seeing them only in terms of this input-output process. And of course, this was something that was very disturbing to Weizenbaum himself, because he saw that that was exactly what the Nazis had done, that they had systematically dehumanized the Jews, Black people, gay people, Romani people, trans people. Not often remembered that the first group that was dehumanized and exterminated by the Nazis was trans people in the 1930s. That was the beginning. So all of these people were attacked and they were all dehumanized. And we can see that today, this rise in dehumanizing language is very commonly found throughout the world. And so many, this kind of way of talking about others that is belittling, that is undermining, that is insulting, that is reductive. And it's not just in the hands of a few people who are doing this, but it's become embedded in the way that we think about them. Education is another good example. We used to think about education as being a way of developing a person's potential. Somebody would come into a college or a school or a university, and we would teach them how to be a good person. And yes, we teach them skills. That's part of being a good person. But we teach a person. And now that's no longer really relevant. We just want them to be able to get the job, to get the input and the output. And so that humanity has been undermined. So systematically, this has been going on. And this is very dangerous. This is how all totalitarians work and all genocides work. They work by dehumanizing the other. So this process of AI undermining the value of humanity is a massive problem when it comes to that first precept. And there are so many problems with this that I could keep on going forever, but I feel like I should move on to the second precept, because I've been going on that one for a while, and I'm sure you have plenty of questions, so I'd like to leave time for some questions as well. So the second precept is the precept of stealing, right? Anthropic, one of the biggest AI firms, ironically named Anthropic, should be named Machineopic or something, has just paid out, I think, $1.5 billion or something to creators whose work it stole. All of the AI that exists, all of the big AI programs, all depend on stealing everybody's data, everybody's work, including, by the way, mine, which I'm really annoyed about. I didn't give them my permission. If you go to ChatGPT and ask them, what does Bhante Sujato think about this? Or can you translate this sutta in the style of Bhante Sujato or something like that? It'll just do it. It doesn't care. It just takes all my stuff. Right? Now, this is actively harmful to anybody who is a creative person. And if you're a writer, if you're a journalist, if you work in movies, if you work, I mean, the whole of Hollywood went on strike over this. If you work in, journalism, teaching, education, any of those things, then AI will take your work and it will make a dumbed down and meaningless simulation of your work. And it will fob it off as if it were the real thing. And in the field of academia, professors and lecturers are constantly finding, even in essays that their students are submitting, that the students' essays are citing works by their teachers that do not exist. ChatGPT just makes it up, okay, and puts it in there. So this is probably, in my view, the greatest theft that has ever happened in humanity. The entire creative output of humankind has been taken and used for these machines against everybody's permission. And the response from the creative community has been almost completely negative towards these things, and people have again and again stood up and said that they don't want this, that they think it's harmful and it's bad. And yet it doesn't make any difference. The machine rolls on. So this is another thing just to bear in mind. Every time that you are using, if you choose to use AI, you are using stolen material from others, has been taken from them against their will, including from Sutta Central and from anyone else. Now, obviously, this is not the case if you're dealing with something that's maybe smaller and more specialized. Let's say somebody's doing some climate research, right? So they have a bunch of climate data from different sources, and they've legitimately obtained that data, and then they can make a machine, put that into an AI, and then they can create their output from that. So that's a different case because you have a limited data set that's used for a specific purpose, right? So what I'm talking about here are the big ones, ChatGPT, Anthropic, and so on, which essentially scrape all the data there is and put that all in one big thing. And this creates so many problems that it's impossible to list all of the problems in a simple talk like this. I'll go through a few of them. Number one is one of them is the human cost of editing that data, because that data contains everything that's on the internet, including all of the most terrible things that are on the internet. And the work of filtering that data is then handed off to the lowest paid workers in Africa, who have to sit there day after day, day after day, day after day, filtering all of the child pornography, all of the violent stuff, all of the most horrible things you find on the internet, and trying to clean up the data set. And they suffer post-traumatic stress because of that, because the big tech companies don't care. And there's really no other way of doing it. It's human beings who are making these things. So this is one of the problems with this aspect of theft. Look, there are so many. I can't even get onto too many. A lot of the times, the product that they're selling to you as AI is not even AI. And this is the phenomenon they call the mechanical Turk. So this is a term of art. It's nothing to do with an actual Turk. It's from an old story. But some of you may know there was one case where Amazon introduced this new kind of shopping. You can walk into their shop. Amazon will use face recognition to see who you are. You can pick up what you like and then just walk out. And it will charge your Amazon account automatically. So you don't have to do anything. You just walk in, pick up what you want, and walk out. So this was great, right? It's just like, you can buy even more things now. That's so convenient, I guess. So they shut that down after a couple of years, and people were like, why are you shutting it down? They're like, it costs too much to run. People saying, why does it cost too much to run? Oh, because actually they were paying like 1,000 Indians to sit in rooms and watch webcams and see who was coming in and out of the rooms, and then use that to charge things. So this is why they sometimes say that the acronym AI stands for actually Indians. So, so this is another way that these firms are kind of conning you and so on with what they're doing. I could keep on going this for a long time. Another aspect of theft which is happening is that everyone is paying for these things, even if you're not using it, because the amount of money and resources, amount of energy, the amount of water that's going into these things is astonishing. We really don't have kind of a way of grasping what this is like. We think of AI as being a computer running somewhere. Think of it more like a city that is running, made of computers, and which is being a whole city, the energy usage of a whole city, the water usage, the land usage, the resource usage of a whole city, just running and running and running, so that it can give you your answers to your questions in ChatGPT or your pictures in Midjourney or whatever you're using. It's a vast industrial enterprise which is consuming hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars over years. And for what? Yeah, for what? We're all paying for that. We're all paying, you know, higher energy. We're paying, the environment is being destroyed. We're paying for resource usage. All of those things is being paid, and all of that money is being thrown in a pile and being burnt because none of the AI companies are making any money. It's a very kind of strange thing that they are consuming so much in terms of investment. If you look at the OpenAI website, it will tell you, think of your investment as more of a donation. That's literally the wording that it says. It's more of a donation because we don't have any way of getting your money back. So all of this money is being poured into it. Somebody pays for that. And this is what AI is being built on. So let's come on to the third precept. Third precept is sexual misconduct. So one of the foundational purposes of digital technology is to show pictures of naked women. And thus it has always been and has been since the beginning. So AI allows you to create pornography, to create sexualized images of women in ways that are more disturbing and more horrifying than ever before, as if there was ever a lack of that. There's been multiple scandals where apps were sold to schoolboys who would then use it for taking photos of the girls in their class and then taking their clothes off, you know, nudifying apps, right? So you can just take a photo of anyone and ask it to take their clothes off. You can put, you know, faces of people that you know, make them performing sex acts or something like that, and then you can use that for then harassing people. And creating, you know, stress and trauma for, you know, teenage girls or for people, colleagues in your workplace, and or for public figures like actresses and so on who suffer from this kind of thing a lot. So this is the systematic use of this technology for the abuse of women. And this is, again, not an incidental, it's not just an occasional glitch in it, it's a foundational feature of what this technology is and what it's being used for. If you look at, let's say, Elon Musk's Grok, so that's the AI that he runs on Twitter. So he made available an update where you can have an AI companion on Twitter. You can use Grok to create an AI companion who you can interact with. And of course, that AI companion should hardly be, you not even have to guess, was an extremely sexualized young woman who looked like a preteen girl, who is now your kind of default companion on X if you want to do that kind of thing. So this is feeding into a certain demographic. It's feeding into a certain kind of especially male desire, and it's feeding into a kind of way of objectifying and reducing women that is very disturbing and highly dangerous. And so this is something which is, again, it feeds into that process of dehumanization, where the person who is real is no longer matters, and the person, what matters is the face that people present to you, and that is captured by a digital image. Think about how for young women, especially for young women today. There's so much pressure on appearance, so much pressure on social media, so much pressure on like makeup and dress and all of these kinds of things to look a certain way and behave a certain way, so much pressure on getting cosmetic surgery and so on. Imagine what's going to happen as they feel the pressure, not just comparing themselves to models and actresses, but comparing themselves to AI-generated images that the boys in their class are able to generate at a whim. So this is a kind of systematic sexual abuse, which is happening already with AI and is going to happen more consistently in the future. It's already a common fantasy among those men who get involved in this to fantasize about having a purely AI girlfriend. And of course, many of them already do. There are already lots of AI girlfriend services out there. And you can create one who looks what you like, who does what you like, who talk to you and so on. And so there's no need for, no need to have a real life girlfriend, because one of the problems with real life girlfriends, they might disagree with you sometimes. And they might even say no sometimes, which is something that obviously has to be left in the past. So this is something which is, I think, is extremely dangerous, together with all of the other things that's going on, and is part of that process of dehumanization and conditioning, especially young men. I've been focusing on young men here because that's the primary thing. It affects all of us, but it's mostly young men, to see women in a certain way, that they can be literally built according to your specifications. Okay, so this is the sexual misconduct. Then the next one is speech. Oh my goodness. Okay, so false speech, right? Everything that a computer tells you is a lie, okay? Every word that comes out of ChatGPT is a lie. And I really want to dig down on this point, because this is something that people, I think, really don't get. When people read something that comes from an AI, people will often think, like a naive user thinks that the computer says it, so it must be true, right? This is kind of a very basic level. A lot of people think like that. The computer said it, it must be true, right? So that's not right. So then a slightly more sophisticated user realizes that sometimes AIs are wrong, and when it makes things up, people will call those things hallucinations. Right? It will just invent certain things that will just be a hallucination. There's many hilarious examples of this. Somebody once asked, how do I stop the cheese from falling off my pizza? And the AI said, you need glue to stick the cheese onto your pizza with, and then that will solve that problem for you. And it's actually very easy to make the AI say these kinds of things, because it just repeats what's been told to it. Sometimes these things will go back just to a few social media posts or something, and the AI is regurgitating this as if it's fact. So this is like the second order. So the first level, just a naive level to say it's computer says that it must be true. Then a slightly more sophisticated user says, well, sometimes it can hallucinate, okay? So therefore, if you want to use it for anything serious, you have to fact check it, okay? Now, that level of hallucinations is not necessarily, like, it depends on what it's being used for about whether that matters or not, right? Maybe you ask ChatGPT, where's a nice Sri Lankan restaurant near me that I can go to eat? I'm here in Sydney, right? It's not that, there's some Sri Lankan restaurants around, not that many. So I'm going to, where is it? It has ChatGPT, and it says, oh, you can go to Salonia. It's a nice place down on Church Street in Parramatta. Great. Just a quick ad there for Salonia, which is down on Church Street in Parramatta. And they're very kind. They give me Pindabat food when I go there. So if you are in Sydney, it's just a bit of a shout out to Salonia. Anyway, so I can ask ChatGPT and it sends me there. But if it sends me to the wrong address, okay, it's not the end of the world, right? I'll find another restaurant, whatever. It's not critical information, okay? So there are certain things where people can say, okay, well, look, it's not so important. But on the other hand, then, of course, there are many cases where it really is important. And we're not necessarily that good at distinguishing those kinds of things. So So that we've talked about the two users. One of the naive user thinks everything's true. The more sophisticated user knows that sometimes it makes things up, okay? But what I would proposing is the third level here is to recognize that everything it says is made up. Everything that an AI says is just a hallucination, or rather, let me put it another way, that no matter, all an AI can produce is a string of data. That's it. It produces a string of data. And the human mind can then read into that, whether this is a word, whether this is a sentence, whether this has a meaning, whether this is true, whether this is not true. So truth and not truth are not properties that an AI can have. Okay, and an AI doesn't have an internal model of reality against which it can measure its concept of truth. It merely outputs something based on some statistical heuristic. That's it. So when we are looking for truth, AI cannot give us that, full stop. And this is why I find I mean, the use of AI in many fields is quite disturbing. I do find the idea of using it for accounting, as you mentioned before, to be kind of hilarious. Like the last thing you want from an accounting program is something that just makes things up because it feels like it. I don't know. But anyway, so I want you to think a little bit more about meaning, okay? What does it mean when we say we mean something? Normally what it means is something like this. I say to you, hey, let's have lunch at Salonia restaurant. Cool. And then you say, let's do that. So there's a thought in my mind. There's some kind of intention or some kind of mental state that I have. And then I express that verbally, and then that other person hears that, and then they have a thought or understanding. So this is a conveyance of a meaningful statement. Right? This is a very basic understanding of what meaning is. So with a computer, of course, there's nothing in here. There's actually no meaning. It's just nothing. It's just a stream of data. And so we take these to be meaningful statements that the AI is making. Actually, it's not meaningful at all. It's just a string of digits, just a string of letters, a string of data. The Buddha talked about the reason for the disappearance of the true Dhamma. And what he said was very interesting, because he said that the true Dhamma would not come about because of physical causes, not because of a cataclysm caused by the four elements, but the Dhamma would come about because of the appearance of the Sadhamma Patirupaka, the counterfeit of the true Dhamma. And this notion of counterfeit is really interesting. Yeah. So think about counterfeit in terms of money. Let's say I want to make a counterfeit $100 bill. Okay, great. Okay, I get there. I'm going to cut it, design it, blah, blah, blah. I get the materials. I just do it. I use this roll of toilet paper. Okay, I'm going to add a pen. I'm going to make a counterfeit bill. I'm going to go down to the local shop and try to spend it. Okay, well, it's probably not going to be very successful. Okay. That's a bad counterfeit, which means it's good, because I'm not going to do any damage with it, right? So then I go back and I think, okay, I've got to do better. So I spend years developing all of the skills, the design, the materials, everything. And eventually I make a $100 bill that is so good that it is literally indistinguishable from a legitimate $100 bill, even at a molecular level. There's literally no physical difference between my counterfeit and the real bill. Does that make it good? Is that a good counterfeit? I mean, it's good in terms of the craft of making it, but it's not a good thing, morally speaking. And imagine if I can then scale that up. So I can then make 1,000 of them. I can make 1,000,000 of them. If I make 1,000,000,000 of them, right? Then I'm starting to not just be a thief, right? I'm starting to bring down the economy. Ultimately, you destroy the notion of money itself. If you have enough counterfeits, nobody can trust the idea of money. And it's the same thing that happens with counterfeit meaning. We've all experienced this. People will say, you can't trust anything that people that you're hearing. Oh, this is something I've heard from the internet. How do you trust this? Do we know, is this just a bot? What is this? And we lose our faith and our trust in humanity because we are not connecting with each other as human beings, but we're just this overwhelming tsunami of meaningless utterances from these machines. And again, this connects with this idea of dehumanization, undermining the image of the person in favor of the image of the machine. So when you see through this, like I'm a geek, you may have noticed or not, and I've always been interested in technology and so on ever since I was a kid. And when I kind of started to realize this, it completely changed my relationship to these technologies. I just saw, now when I see these things, it's just dust. It means nothing. It literally means nothing to me. It's just like a string of letters, and people will kind of argue about it and discuss it or crack jokes or all of these things. And to me, it's just like nothing. It's just like empty. It's just like dust. So this is the question of right speech when it comes to these computers and to these AIs. And I'm going to move on now to the last one of the precepts, which is the intoxication. This is something that Weizenbaum in his book talks about quite a lot, actually. And he describes the what we would call the computer geek or something like that. What was the word that he used for it? I can't remember. But he described what he said would be like a common sight in the computer labs and the research labs in the universities and so on, of a guy who got so into the computer that it became their whole life, that they stopped caring about, they would stop cutting their hair or changing their clothes, and they would sort of cot next to their research, and they would just keep on working back on the computer, and the computer consumed them. And he said that this is something that he could see happening all around him at that time. That's really, and again, remember, he was writing in 1976, right? These are not people who are like playing addictive computer games or using addictive social media, which have been designed in a very sophisticated way to do this. This is guys who were like playing with command line programs and writing little scripts and things like that. And they would still get so drawn into it. The machine has a way of creating that addictive response. And that has been deliberately used by Silicon Valley at an industrial scale. And they have all said this. If you go back to Facebook and Twitter and all of these people, they will all tell you the same thing, that we designed this to be as addictive as possible. And this is the whole design of social media. It's designed to give you a little bit of serotonin, a little bit, I see this thing, a little bit of interest, just enough, not too much. You're never actually satisfied or actually happening, but enough to make you go to the next one. And then enough to go to the next one and to keep you scrolling. And you get addicted to it. And that is a massive problem. It's a massive problem with the internet and computers in general. It's an even bigger problem with social media specifically, and it's an even bigger problem when it comes to AI, right? And you can see other technologies as well. I'm talking about AI here, but other technologies like VR, virtual reality, also create this kind of problem as well. So that addictive quality again has a dehumanizing effect, where people become absorbed and obsessed in that computer world. One of the problems that has is that it then creates this almost delusional state where the things in the computer can then become real. And the life in the computer becomes more real than life outside. And so you're creating almost a hallucinatory world that you live in. And this is now I'm talking about this in this context of the fifth precept, right, of intoxicants. And this is also, let me just say, also linked to the consumption of specific drugs as well. Right? And this is also, these are not separate issues. For people like Elon Musk and the drug of choice in Silicon Valley among these people is ketamine. And ketamine has a dissociative effect. And a lot of the ways that people are thinking about these things is very dissociative. There's no connection between the things that they have of value and which matter in the world and the fantasies that they imagine in their minds. Now, on a level of a human level, we can see that this is sad, right? It's sad. If you see somebody who has no life outside of their computer, you know, a kid who only wants to spend their time playing video games is kind of sad. It's kind of reductive and not a great way to live. But it's a kind of an individual tragedy. When those same people have been handed the keys to the most powerful nation in the world, then that's a threat to us all, right? And it's really important for us to recognize this, that these are things that they're now running the United States. And these machines developed by these people with all of these dehumanizing, dissociating, addictive, resource usage, delusional effects, all of these machines are slowly being deployed throughout education, right? Raising kids, educating kids. It's being deployed throughout governments. So they're making decisions about life and death on a daily basis. Can you get access to a particular social service? An AI will decide for you, you know, and these things are being done routinely right across the board. So these are things that affect all of us. One of the crucial points that Weizenbaum made in his book, again, Joseph Weizenbaum, Computer Power and Human Reason, highly recommend that you have a read of that. It's a really interesting book, beautifully written, and I think deeply moving in his commitment to restoring and elevating an image of the human being as being dignified and worthy of value. One of the things that that is a signature of his argument is that there are certain things which we should not be asking computers to do. And the computer programmers are only concerned with asking, can we get the computer to do this? And they do not ask themselves, should we? Yeah, should we get them to do it? Yeah, this is this key thing. There are certain things which we should not be asking computers to do. Just consider something like, let's say, education. Okay, can we replace teachers with an AI lecturer? Okay. All right. Leaving aside any other questions, what kind of message does that send the children? It tells them you are not worthy of the attention of another human being. We are just going to fob you off on some machine, and you are not worthy of that time and attention. A similar thing with, let's say, carers. People want robot carers. And to me, this is one of those things when you're late in life. You know, I visit my old dad in his nursing home in Coffs Harbour, and he's suffering from advanced Parkinson's. And it's not a great existence. But one thing that he gets to do is to talk to the nurses who come in, and he'll have a joke and he'll have a chat with them and so on. And he has some kind of human connection, which is kept even though can't get up out of his seat and so on. And so again, it's a question of like, not just what can we do, but what should we do? And when we hear the rhetoric from the AI industry, we often hear rhetoric like it's inevitable. We hear, oh, it's coming anyway. We hear it's the future and all of these kinds of things. And this is all ways of saying that you don't matter. Whenever you hear an AI person saying this, just remember that's what they're telling you. You don't matter. Your choices don't matter because the future is somehow inevitable. Meanwhile, they're spending trillions of dollars to make this inevitable future happen. The future is not inevitable. And the course of technology and technological development is highly uncertain and has been littered with the ruins of multiple kinds of technology that everybody thought was going to be the future and that now don't exist. It happens all the time. So don't believe what they tell you when they say this is the future, this is inevitable, and so on and so forth. You are valuable. Your skills are valuable. Your life is valuable. Your meaning is valuable. Who you are as a person matters, because you as a person can make decisions with meaning, with wisdom, with compassion. And you can make things that speak to your experience as a human being, an experience that cannot be replicated or duplicated by anybody else. And that is what is important for you and for your life. Don't let a machine, don't succumb to this ideology that says, oh, a machine is smarter than I am. I hear people say this all the time. I was with a friend who was like, it was kind of funny conversation. And she was like, we were talking about AI. She said, oh, you know, because she works in the university. She's like, oh, you can't submit AI papers to the university. I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, oh, yeah, but I just put my draft into the AI and I get the draft back and it helps me to structure it. I'm like, you just told me that you can't use it, but that's using the AI. I said, oh, get it to structure it for me because I'm no good at structuring things. And you can hear that kind of creeping in, right? Oh, I'm no good, actually. The machine is better. So one of the things that Weizenbaum criticizes quite rightly is the notion of IQ, which is one of the sort of precursors of this whole thing. IQ was originally invented by eugenicists. It's a eugenics project in order to elevate white people and to say that people of color are genetically inferior. That's the ideological push behind the idea of IQ. It's not objective or scientific in any way. And Weizenbaum rightly criticizes the idea of IQ because it depends on the idea that intelligence is measurable, that there's a kind of a linear spectrum of intelligence that you can measure. It's ridiculous. Intelligence is a faculty of the mind, which is the potential of human consciousness and works in all kinds of different ways that are quite distinct and different among different people. And you can't measure like an abstract quality like intelligence and then put it on a scale like that. But again, it's this kind of reductive thing. Once you've measured intelligence, you put it on a scale, then you can give an IQ test to a machine and the machine might get a better mark than you. Therefore, the machine is smarter than you. Yeah, this is how they think. So I would encourage you to be critical of this way of thinking. I would encourage you to reject these shallow dismissals of the importance of humanity. And I would urge you, and I know that there's whatever 180 or so participants on this. Everybody is in a different place. Some of you are probably saying, I don't use AI, it doesn't affect me. Okay, if you're not using AI, good, keep it up. If you're at work and you have to use AI, don't just buy into it, right? Interrogate it and critique it. There have been many studies that have shown that the supposed gains of using AI turned out to be entirely fallacious. They've shown this repeatedly with computer programmers who are using AI assistants, and they're saying, yes, this really helps me to be more productive and so on. But when they actually study it objectively, it doesn't help them to be more productive at all. It just creates the impression that they're being more productive. So interrogate these things, don't take them for granted, and do what you can to make sure you develop your own skills. And if you think that everyone has to use AI or you'll be left behind, do not think like that. Because in 5 years' time, or 10 years' time, or 20 years' time, employers are going to be faced with a glut of workers who can't think for themselves. And once again, this has been something which has been tested, that that cognitive capacity declines the more that you use AI. You're offloading your cognitive skill to the machine. So the more that you use your noggin, figure things out, come from a place of wisdom, come from a place of compassion and understanding and purpose, then that is what makes you something that is invaluable. The more that you go down that path of using AI, the more that devalues you as a human being, and the more it makes you replaceable. All right? So if you're thinking in terms of your career and your life or your studies, I would urge you to be as skeptical of AI as possible. And I know that everybody's in different situations, and I know that we don't always have a choice with these things. So we're just going to have to do the best that we can. But these are some reflections that I would urge you to encourage you to think about. And I would also, as a postscript, say that I would also urge you to think about this in terms of national policies and government policies, because the reality is that the only entities in the world that are big enough to take on these AI firms is national governments. And I think that it's really important that our national governments have strong policies on the use of AI that are not going to be dictated by American commercial interests or Chinese commercial interests for that matter. Okay, so at that note, I might finish up my talk for now, Lakshman, and I might turn over to if there are any questions or responses on that.
Thank you very much, Bhante. I think listening to the talk, I think we have really got really scared now, because
Good.
some of it, of course, although we know enough, there will be, of course, good things also. So maybe how we can have a balance, how we can have a control. Now these are things that one has to look into.
I would have said the same thing a couple of years ago, Lakshman.
Yeah.
But now I just would be much happier if we just take the whole technology and throw it in the bottom of the ocean. The best thing we could do for it is to make a home for the fish that could swim around in the computers, but that's about it.
So,
Yeah.
Deepak, I'm sure you must be having some thoughts on this matter.
Well, it was quite thought-provoking and interesting. I think it's always, there's two sides and there's a lot of debate. And what I also feel is some of these things go and affect that. Actually, it's like at the binary level of a program, so to say, right?
Right.
Because if you really look at how we get addicted to some of these things, is because
Right.
it feeds into our fundamental conditioning, which is, if you really look at the 5 hindrances, and if you can see how
Right.
at the bottom of it, right? And it's like they know exactly where the base program is at the binary level. And this is where I think
Oh, you mean the AI is like activating our hindrances?
That's right, because it affects our core
Because
weakness.
right,
So
because that's what it comes from, right? It comes from whatever is put on the internet, right? So it just regurgitates that, yeah.
And then it is capable of reaching us at that very level.
Right.
So I
Right.
think as a survival, I think what I see is in these situations, to develop being able to be mindful and be aware is going to be a pure survival skill, let
Right.
alone reaching higher levels of development, because
Right.
this
Yeah,
is
great point.
new insulation that you can, because this is going to be, it's like if you are going to work with electricity, you must have insulations. So similarly,
Right.
the only
Right.
insulation we can get is being aware most of the
Right.
time, because then only we know, oh, I'm being driven, because the
Look.
algorithms are working and things like that. We think we are independent, but we are being conditioned
Right.
by our own behavior. So we need to be very, very smart on that. That was a response I wanted to do. It was very valuable what you brought. And
Yeah,
then
Sorry, Deepak, can I just respond to that question? That's a really good point there. And it strikes me there's a kind of analogy with something like, let's say the contemplation of the aggregates in Vipassana meditation, right? You see, well, there's the person, okay, we get attached to the person, or maybe Asubha meditation, right? We get attached to someone, we see someone beautiful, we get attracted to them, then we take them apart in our mind, and then you see, oh, okay, that's just all it is, yeah? And so to have that capacity can change your perception. I sort of alluded to that a little bit when I said before that I just see things as dust now, and it's just like it just like happened, you know. And it's kind of funny, right? Kind of funny. You can just see it, the same thing, and it's quite different. Yeah. Anyway, please go on, Deepak. Yeah.
No, that was the main point. The second point
Yeah.
is the probably the same discussion happened when electricity came, when nuclear power was identified, right? And it's so I think the situation is far more critical here, because the compassion and the humanness is being now challenged, right? Because end of the day, the questions you ask, recently I was listening to some discussions by Nouri, and they're saying, some of these people, they are thinking of how can you control the world? It's not about how to do the business.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the intentions are the ones that we are going to be challenged with. I think, as you said, the government levels need to be done, but I think more social consciousness need to be developed. Of course, there are good things that you can use, but you're talking about cognitive capability. Like when you start using, say, Google Maps, right? We know where to go, but we don't know the place you are in, right? So the whole sense of where I am is gone, right?
Right, it's interesting, right? You can see a difference with like say older people like ourselves. You can still have a sense of place and where you're going, and I see with younger people, you really just don't have that. You just follow where the map goes, and there's that, it changes.
I think we have the teachings like mindfulness has a significant place in this context to be a survival tool. That's the point I wanted to make, because otherwise what happens is these go and corrupt the programming at the 0-1 level,
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you. And I just one small slightly tangential to what you were saying, because both you and Lakshman mentioned, there are good things you can do and so on. I think like one criterion to bear in mind, which is very handy, is if we think in terms of safety. Now, if we want to define safety for any particular object, okay, let's say I want to make a drinking cup, right? I've got to make sure this drinking cup is safe. That means the materials are going to be safe. It's not going to leach poisons and so on and so forth, right? But at the same time, I can't define every possible use for this, which might not be safe. I mean, I can probably, I don't know, break it up and stab someone's eye with it or something, right? I can do something with it that's going to be dangerous, right? But in order to define safety, what engineers and designers and so on have to do is that they have to have a certain criteria within which safety can be defined. Similarly, like if you're designing a car, you maybe have a seatbelt on, you have to say, I'm going to hit a barrier at such and such a speed under such and such conditions, and I'm going to preserve safety in that way. You have to be able to define the conditions within a reasonably narrow bounds before you can say something can be used safely. Now, one of the distinguishing features in AI, especially with the big AI bots, is that they don't have any specific use. So there's no possible way that you can define them in terms of safety. Now, that's not the case if you have more small focused AIs that do a particular job. So let's say you have an AI that does something like text to speech. It takes in some text and then it will read that out, and that's all it does. Right now, in that you can see, that's something you can meaningfully evaluate the safety and the impact because it has a limited and defined focus. Right, you can look, it has advantages because it will make text available to people with visual disabilities, so this is good. Maybe it also has disadvantages for some reasons as well, but we can meaningfully assess those. But with these big AI programs, how do you say whether it's safe? These things have just been launched at us without our consent, without our government's consent or know-how, and somehow we have to deal with the fallout of them as if somehow it's up to us to figure out their safety criteria. Why does only tech happen like that? If I want to drive a car on Australian roads, then the manufacturer has to get that car certified and pass all of these tests before we say we can drive that. If I go down to our local restaurants in Little India here, then they have to keep all of these rules to make sure the food is going to be safe and so on. And yet somehow with technology, we think it's normal that they can put it out there without passing any safety requirements, and that somehow that's normal. I think we should stop thinking of that as normal and start treating them like any other industry, and start requiring that the tech companies be able to prove the safety of their products before they can release them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. I get a few more comments. Chan, you like to make a comment on this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bhante. In fact, I have only compliments for what you have been telling throughout, and it's a great explanation for us. And we being professionals in the industry, into commercial world, that we haven't even got a chance to think of these lines that you really explained today.
Right.
And it's a great eye opener for me. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great eye opener for us. And then I remember, when we were, introduced with the calculator, how we thought. And today our logical power is not there. We are even a small calculation we cannot do without a calculator. But on the
Right.
roadside vendor who is selling vegetables can do it without a calculator. So I have been going through this, and
Right.
I had these questions, Bante, but then very definitely what you have said is very, 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 very important for our future generations to think how they are going to use these tools. It is like a knife that is meant for cutting vegetables, also can kill a person. So it's very, very, I think, great explanation. Thank you so much, Bante. Teruvan Saranai.
Oh, thank you.
We have a few questions, but all of them are really, some of them are positive, some of them are negative. So I don't know whether how many we can take. You like to take a few? One is asking how in Australia they are managing the AI. I think there's a question that way.
Okay.
In Australia.
Look, I don't have too much to say on that. Poorly, generally. I think generally speaking, the EU has been the place that has been the most forward in making legislation and responses. But most places, the reality is that in most places around the world, the governments are full of old people who don't understand technology, and that's just the reality. And then everyone's saying this is the future, this is the new shiny thing, and then people get fooled into this very easily. So unfortunately, government response hasn't been great in Australia. I personally think that it would be it would make a difference if the small and medium-sized countries around the world started to do something, started to think in terms like what is actually good for us, good for our people, and started to manage that. You won't get that happening in America, and you won't get that happening in China. But if enough smaller countries start to do it, EU has already done some things. If Japan does some things, if Sri Lanka does some things, if Australia does some things, if Malaysia does some things, then ultimately they have to start responding, right? So I do think it's really important for us to be considering how it works in our local environment and starting to push back on this in some ways. One thing I should say that we have done here in New South Wales, which is good, is we banned mobile phones in the classroom. And so that's pretty good. And I think the school kids that I've spoken to about this all seem to think it's a good idea as well. So that's at least something.
There is a comment here, I think Kumara Idris Singh asks, I daily save many hours using AI tools on many things and become part of my life, especially the Australian-based projects I'm working on from Sri Lanka. And of course, he says that Bhante seems to be against AI, and but where they have really gained a lot by using AI?
Look, I don't know what to say because I don't know that person, and I'm sorry I can't speak to your experience directly. All I can say is that if you would ask my advice, I would say find something else to do with your life, because you might think that this is doing something that's really worthwhile for you, but in the long run, this is going to be really corrosive, and I would strongly recommend that you find another career path.
But actually, Bante, I think a lot of them say that their productivity, because I think they are using AI in the right way, that their productivity has gone up. So there are
Yeah,
the
this is
good side
again.
to
This
it.
is something I mentioned. Sorry, this is something I mentioned earlier. What AI does is it creates delusions. It creates a hallucination in the human being who uses it that they are doing something meaningful. And as far as I'm aware, every single study that has been done on this has shown that the supposed productivity gains are not real. That's because the AI is causing human beings to create hallucinations. And it's been done repeatedly with computer programmers and in other versions as well. So if you think that your productivity is increasing, what I think is that you're being fooled by the machine.
Yeah, here now, actually, I'll just read the latter part.
Yeah.
AI is only a marketing tool used recently to debase human beings, and the society is guilty of its exploitation by depraved people.
Right.
That's
true. Yeah.
so that's what they have been saying. Anyone in the is
And that's
sorry.
yeah. I'll leave that there. But yes, I agree. Yeah.
Anyone likes to from the panel? Anyone who wants to make any comments?
Dil Siri, we haven't heard from you. Sorry, we still haven't heard from you because your mic is muted.
Dr. Devsiri? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Well, it was an eye opener, but I always felt that what you were saying was instinctively the way it was going. And I think it was because in England, I went for something that was organized at the, in one of the universities, and the whole project was actually led by a Sri Lankan. And I was there, and there was one other Bante, I think, but there was nobody from the Theravada, but there was a few monks and nuns from the Mahayana sect, and
Okay.
they were Korean. They were actually quite involved, and they were having, they were having a lot, using it to put all their material so that anybody can use in any university at any time. See the Tripitaka and the things, and there was a lot of interest, and at that time I wondered, about 2 years ago, why isn't the Theravada, the monks really involved in it? And when the whole project in England was really led by a Sri Lankan, but he, when I spoke to him, also said that there's no kind of any governing body, and he really feared how this was going. And you have wanted to reiterate that. And on a much more, I should say, selfish, that we are thinking we've really lived most of our lives, I particularly, because I'm over 70, and we have little, but for those who have children who are growing up, and even younger children, generation,
Right.
I think it's a frightening thing to think what the world is going to be for them. And I really can't hear in both sides of the debate. I really can't see what the solution is going to be. And I tend to think that what you accent that and told at the end of it, these basics of the 5 precepts, that your mindfulness key, I think what Deepa was taught. I think without that, and people have been saying that if you're not very mindful of realizing, like, the speaker before you, what you're saying, that even before you come to that stage, you get some awareness, things are that it will be very difficult not to get involved into it, and then years later to see that the whole thing has gone, like what you've been following it from the 1970s and seeing where it is now. So I think that Buddhism is one thing, that the things that you spoke about with mindfulness as key is one thing we can look. I'm glad that people like Professor Lakshman are being aware at a much higher level at what it's going to do for things like accounts, which we think is integrity-based of all. So there is some
Right.
awareness, and that's good. But I don't really see a way forward that is going to be beneficial to all of us at this moment. But I'm open and I'm hoping that things will come up, because we don't know what the future is going to be and things can change. And that's all I
Right.
think we can do, because otherwise we can get very depressed and we can project so much negativity that it's going to only our parts of all what we have done are all going to be negated. So I don't think that's the way forward at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dilsiri. Allow me to just respond very briefly to that. Yeah, thank you for those perspectives, and I think that they're also very worthwhile, very valuable perspectives. One thing just to bear in mind about all of these things is that if we were okay before we had all these machines, like we had problems, right? But has things actually got better in the last 5 years since we introduced all of these AI machines? Like, it doesn't seem to be actually that it's creating all of these benefits that we're told about. And the reality is that most of the things that we can do that are actually good are fairly simple things. If we give people an education, if we give people healthcare, if we give people housing, if we look after people and take care of each other, then these are things that we know will demonstrably be good for people. And so rather than giving our trust to these technologies which are built on false promises, then why is it that so much money, trillions upon trillions of dollars, is being poured into these technologies instead of being given to people who might actually, we know, that would benefit from it? Even just a little bit of money makes a huge difference to a poor people. Why are we so uninterested in human development and human potential? So like you, Dilsiri, also find it difficult to imagine like a future that's going to be positive or it's going to be thriving. But I don't think that I don't see that such a future is impossible or even like particularly hard to imagine. It's just hard to imagine to get there from here. That's the problem. But what I can say is that if there is to be such a future and a future of flourishing, then it is to be based on humanity, and it is to be based on what is good and meaningful and beneficial for human beings. And if we keep that in mind, then that gives us a target. It gives us something to apply for in the future, rather than to just blindly be rolled over because some billionaire in Silicon Valley tells us that this is what the future is.
And one thing you didn't mention, and I know there's no time for this, but what about this whole thing, what separation, the separation and oneness, right? And the collective unity consciousness. So I mean, there is a collective consciousness, and I don't even, AI doesn't have a consciousness at all, so I suppose it doesn't
Right.
anyway. But we know that the collective consciousness, the Kalyan, with all that, is a very supportive thing, as also anything that leads to separation, as opposed to one.
Right.
It is the right direction. So I think that's what I bear in mind when I have to make decisions. Where is the wholesome and unwholesome? Yes, from what the Buddha said. Duality. But I always look in anything. If this is going to help me and help the others, then that's something. And anything. So I keep that as a target. And wherever there is a collective consciousness, so I try to get involved in things where there are groups getting together, because I think when groups of people get together with similar thinking, or even if it is diverse, but where you can iron out and come to a balance, and you can look at that balancing, I think there is a way forward.
Okay.
Rather than being
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Deepika, you want to say anything on this?
I know, I'm quite with Bhante. I've heard Bhante speaking on AI before, and so that is why I suggested the topic, quite unusual topic. I thought many people will benefit from it, because AI programs are being rolled over in Sri Lanka. We were in Sri Lanka recently, and without any question, people take them on. And even officials in the government, they embrace this technology without any hesitation, without any safety checks. So I thought it's a timely, discussion. thank you for allowing me to choose the topic, Professor Vatavala. But I
Thank
quite
you,
enjoyed.
Thank you, Deepika. There is a comment, Hemamala Ratwatte, Bante. Thank you for a thought-provoking talk, which has shown me that AI through social media, YouTube, and other platforms such as Pinterest, or diagnosis once latent, within brackets, Anusaya, Klesha, by repeatedly and frequently provoking these.
Yeah.
It's Maria in action as I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, good point. Thank you for that. And similar to the point that Deepak made earlier, but actually, to be honest, that could be another way of framing this question. You could frame it in terms of the 7 anusayas and look at how the AIs was provoking the different anusayas in different ways as well. So that actually would be a really interesting framework to look at it. And I mean, you could use all kinds of frameworks to look at it. Today I used the 5 precepts, but we could also look at it through, say, the 5 aggregates and through other different avenues as well. But definitely, I think that's a really good point. Thank you.
Final one from Geeta Mittapala. What Bante says is so true. I am a TAFE teacher in Melbourne, and it is sad to see what AI is doing to students, especially with migrants who are not fluent with the language. And
Right.
an excellent talk, Bante. Taught me a lot. Your approach AI from the 5 precepts is wonderful. I will endeavor to keep my eyes open and strive to learn. The only way
Thank you.
educate yourself and overcome the challenges. It frightens
Yeah.
me as to what will happen to our future generations and the world. So,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, look, thank you for that. And look, I just wanted to give a special shout out to whoever was commenting there, and also to any other teachers who are doing this. I just want you to know that teaching is a sacred profession, and it's one of the most important and beautiful things that you can possibly do. And I know teachers are almost always underpaid, overworked, underappreciated. My mum was a teacher. My dad was a teacher earlier in life. My grandparents were teachers, and your job and your role is indispensable and incredibly meaningful. And so don't again succumb to this thinking, oh, the AI can do my job or anything like this. Your humanity is what you, and that care and attention that you bring to your students is more important than any of the lessons and the homework and the readings or anything, right? It's your belief in and lifting up the students that is the thing that really matters. So I just want to say for teachers that your role is super special. And I know there's all of these challenges, but what these challenges show is that your place is even more important, to have that human connection for those kids or adults or whoever you're teaching is even more important because of whatever he's doing. The Joseph Wiseman's last book, I was just looking that up just before we turned the class, his last book, written, I think, from an interview he did in 2006. It was called Islands in the Cyberstream. And so he wanted us to, here we are in that cyber stream, and we can somehow stand and somehow be ourselves and find who we are. So, yeah.
Thank you, Bante. Kamal,
Okay.
I invite Kamal now, our committee member, to for the vote of thanks and pay merit to Bante.
Lakshman, thanks a lot, Lakshman. It's always a pleasure and a delight to listen to Bante Sujata's sermons. And once again, thank you for being with us. Today's topic was very practical, realistic to all of us, because AI is almost like a disease from my perspective. It's taking over everything. and anything. And I mean, it's the greed of these people who create such devices and make the human being a lazy so and so, which is unfortunate. I mean, young kids are looking to AI. Schools are looking at AI for teacher assistants. My son is a teacher, and he shared with me that some classes are now taken over by AI assisted mediums. So what you said today in your sermon was very realistic, and thank you so much for this very enlightenment and the way you spoke about the five precepts. So I hope that all our listeners, our Dhamma friends will take heed to it. I also saw a message. Someone wanted your recording as quickly as possible to share it with their children. So that's again. I mean, we are very grateful to you. I was so happy to meet you in Colombo at one of the lectures at the Servants of the Buddha program, and met Lakshman, Deepika, and everybody. And I think Dr. Glitzy was there too. So thanks a lot, Bhante Sujato, and I hope that we will have the pleasure of having you once again and to make a difference. Make a difference. I mean, this is very important. The subject you chose today, and thanks to Deepika, was very, very relevant to all of us. And I think it's fair to say we had over 203 Dhamma friends and venerables from all over the world participating, and it shows the importance of our International Dhamma program, which has been strongly supported by all of us, and to thank Lakshman Vatavalla too for all his assistance. So thank you very much, Bhante. Hope to see you again, and much merit to you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.
Thanks, Kamal. Yeah.
Thank you, Kamal. Bhante, I think today we are very grateful to Bhante because it opened a new, I think, maybe thoughts that came up from the talk as to what we should really look at. But certainly, maybe we are looking maybe from the Buddhist angle. Then there are those who are looking from the commercial angle. So there are good and bad, and of course, a lot of parents who are highly worried about maybe their children being brought up. If you speak to the university professors, they say that all the students are answering by using AI, and then it takes a long time. So now what they are really trying to do is to teach them how to use AI. So I don't know whether that will really serve the purpose unless you have the knowledge, you build the knowledge, you build the skills. It's really a problem. I think this was very useful. I think Deepika at the beginning mentioned that this was a topic that she had in mind. So especially from the religious side, because if you are looking at Nibbana, I don't know, that's other area that maybe another thing that Bhante can mention, because how whether AI is going to help or your own maybe the self
I'm pretty sure that's going to be a no there, Lakshman. Pretty sure, yeah.
So thank you, Bhante, and maybe Bhante pay merit to the Devas and the departed, and then wind up.
Okay.
Okay.
Akasattha Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang Tang Anamodantu Chirang Rakhantu Sasanang Akasattha Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang Tang Anamodantu Chirang Rakhantu Desanang Akasata bhumartha devanagam hidika punyang tang anumodantu chirang rakhantu mamparante idam vonyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idam vonatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idam vonyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo.
So once again, thank you and much merit to you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Much merit to you also, Professor Lakshman. And thank you to all of the panelists for coming on and to all of those who attended. May you all be happy and attain Nibbana swiftly and pleasantly.
Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
All right, right. No, recording that. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Our speaker today, Dhamma speaker today, Venerable Bhante Sujata Thero, our Dhamma friends, also our committee members, and the Dhamma friends, both local and overseas. So today we have had a long day, but I'm very happy that all of you have been able to stay on, and I'm sure that a lot more will be joining a little later. So we started at 3:30 and now it is 6:30. So I'm very thankful to Venerable Bhante Sujata for accepting our invitation. I will maybe giving a brief introduction a little later. Today, as I said earlier, is a very special day with the Bhikkhuni Sasana being started. And I think I would like Bhante can say a few words later during the session, because there were some of them who had wanted to maybe remember some of the Bhikkhunis. I think Bhikkhuni Kusuma, that they sent me a message, but I will get the name later. So this was really the Binara full moon Poya day, and it was on this day that Prince Siddhartha's stepmother, Prajapati Gautami, who was desirous of becoming a bhikkhuni with maybe a lot of, although she was unsuccessful on 3 occasions, Venerable Ananda, the chief attendant of the Buddha, pleaded with the Lord Buddha, and then this was the result of the first Bhikkhuni Sasana with Prajapati Gautami being the first Bhikkhuni. So today we are very fortunate, as I said, to have Bhante Sujata. Actually, I must say that I was listening to a Dhamma talk, I was listening to that went on Sirasa or TV1, one of the two. And then Bhante was saying, Mama is me kiwata Mama Ingrishen tamai bana kiyanne. And it was really a very wonderful Dhamma talk that Bhante gave. So I thought that I must try to get Bhante, and then after the talk was over, I contacted one of the directors there, I think Shevan Daniel, and then he contacted Manoj. I think Manoj was interviewing Bhante, and then after that I was able to make contact. So thank you very much, Bhante, for agreeing to come and speak, because the topic at that time was also on loving kindness and contentment, which I thought was very useful to our Dhamma friends. So today the topic is healing your wounded heart through loving kindness and contentment. As I said earlier, Bhante, Shan Veerasekar is also one of the directors there, and he's being supporting us at Sirasa. So we are very thankful to him also for making himself available today. So just a few words about Bhante. Bhante is really the abbot of the Blue Buddhist Temple in Chicago, USA, and the founder of the Sanata Suvaya Meditation Center in Kandy. That is I think Bante had set this up, and then as the founder of the Sanatha Surya Meditation Center and conducting the meditation programs there. Then Bante has, for the more than 25 years, Bante Sujata has been sharing the message of loving kindness and contentment cultivated through the practical application of meditation with people all over the world. In fact, our first Dhamma session was also on mindfulness and meditation. So I'm sure this should be also connect up with that one. Profound in its simplicity, the message and teachings in this workshop have been life-changing for many of its participants, regardless of religious background. The teaching is centered around the cultivation of self-love and contentment. Without the nurtured ability to practice healthy self-love, we cannot be fully present to love anyone or anything else. So once again, let me welcome Bante and all our Dhamma friends who are present. Bante, we will start with Pansil, and then Bante can continue the Dhamma talk. Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, please say Namo Tassa 3 times.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Buddhaṃ Saranang Gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Yampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchāmi.
Pānāti Pātā Vīramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Panapata Viramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Adinna Dāna Vīramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Adinādāna Viramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Kāmesu Miccāchārā Vīramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Kāmesu Miccāchārā Viramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Musāvādā Vīramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Savādā Viramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Surāmēraya Majjapamā Daṭṭhāna Vīramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Ramire Mandipama Daṭṭhāna Viramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Okay. Before I start my Dharma talk, let's have a 2 minutes meditation to calm down our mind. Please close your eyes. Keep your back straight as much as you can. Take a deep, long breath. Then release. Then relax your body. Relax your mind. Experienced relaxation and peace. Feel harmony with your body. Feel close to yourself. Now send your loving thoughts towards yourself, thinking, I am well, I am happy. I am peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May I always find inner peace and contentment. I am well. I am happy. I am peaceful. If you know how to love yourself, it is much easier for you to love others. Therefore, in this moment, understand power of self-love and self-care. Then repeat, I am well. I am happy. I am peaceful. May peace be with you. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. Thank you very much. Please open your eyes. Okay. Today I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you all. Especially I'm so thankful to Professor Watawala giving me this wonderful chance to talk to you all this evening. First, little bit about my journey. I became a Buddhist monk age 11. After my education, I left Sri Lanka 1993. From 1993 until now, I'm living in the United States. I have wonderful experiences in my life. Most important one I am going to share with you. When I go to United States first time, I cannot speak English. It was very challenging because I'm not coming from English speaking family background. So anyway, I was working with Sri Lankan Buddhist community in Detroit, Michigan. I worked with them 5 years. After 5 years later, I was thinking to myself, there is no progress. Because this is the bitter truth. When Sri Lankan people living in another country, what they are doing, their own cultural things, and monks are there, they are doing chanting, they are going to the funerals, birthdays, and doing all the blessing, giving pirit nula, then monks are busy to do all those things. Sometimes people will come to the temple on the weekends, bring dana, very comfortable life for us. But my mind was uncomfortable. Then I was thinking to myself, if I want to do this, better to be in Sri Lanka, or I have to change where I live. So therefore, I'm a kind of stubborn monk. Don't misunderstand my words. So I was listening to my heart. I made the decision, this is enough. I have to find another way to share this teaching with local community in the United States. I announced to the board, I was the head monk of the temple. My teacher was in Los Angeles, and I said, I'm done. Within next 3 weeks, I'm leaving. Then people were shocked and nothing bad happened. Then asked why, something wrong. I said, no, you guys did a wonderful job. That's why I'm leaving. So anyway, then I don't know where to go. I was writing an email to a couple of organizations around the country, as not couple, actually I sent more than 50 emails. I was so excited. I'm going to receive so many responses, but 2 weeks, nothing. I didn't receive any emails. Now ego kick in, and now I already announced to people I'm leaving, but there is no place to go. So anyway, 2 weeks later, I got 2 emails, one from Georgia, Atlanta, other one where I'm living now, Chicago, Illinois. So I had all car, I put everything to my car. I was driving 5 hours. So it was a church, Catholic church. So I went to the church. Then the father of the church, he said, I never met a Buddhist monk before, but I love to help you. I don't know how to help, but there is an American Buddhist family. They love to help you. So there was a man, his 40s, and he said, let's go with me. He took me to his house. Then he gave me a room. And so then he said, I have my wife. I have my 2 children, 3 and 4. We have a big house. This is your area. You can live. I used to live with them 9 years. I go to the college. I was studying. I'm learning English. I did a degree in psychology. And so, however, living with those 2 children, 3 and 4, I learned how to speak English because every day I'm dealing with these 2 children. So anyway, during my time with that family, church father invited me come and teach mindfulness meditation in his community. Being a Buddhist monk, it is very challenging to say no. So anyway, I tried to say no, didn't work. So he said, your English is enough, please teach mindfulness. So 27 years ago, I started my first mindfulness meditation class at the church. I was so nervous, I was scared to death. And I was thinking, I don't want to do this. I don't know how to talk to American people. I don't know their culture. So now I am so nervous. I was sitting there, 3 people sitting in front of me, 1 lady and 2 men. So when I see them, I got more nervous. I lost my words. I said, hi. Then I smiled. Then they smile at me. Then they smile again. Then back and forth, we smiled to each other like 10-15 minutes. Then I said, bye. So that's the first meditation I did. I call smiling meditation. So then they left. Then I was thinking they never returned to this meditation class because why? I didn't teach them. So then I talked to the father and said, Dan, I cannot do this. Don't ask me again. I'm so nervous. He's a 6 foot tall guy. And he grabbed my arm and pushed me to his office chair. And he said, sit down. I want to talk to you. I don't know something about you. These are his words. I really feel universe really wants to help you. I feel it. Universe is talking to me. Please listen to me. Look like your father, but he's white. And he said, please listen to me. Try one more time. Then you can give up. Then he said, the first time I heard this sentence, this country we call land of opportunities. We all have opportunity in this land. Therefore, I'm really sure you have an opportunity in this country. I'm going to offer it. Please take it. Then that moment, I felt something good about him, about myself. Then I said, sure, I'm going to do it. Second Saturday, I was sitting there. I was praying to myself, please, people don't show up. Why? I don't want to see anybody because I'm so nervous. Can you believe same 3 people sitting in front of me? I was thinking something wrong with these people. And so I didn't say that. But anyway, second day I was sharing some teachings. They like it. Can you believe 27 years later, still those 3 people are sitting in front of me. They never leave me. So then 9 years left. Now I have more people, 30, 40 people coming to meditation every Saturday morning. And every Monday night, I'm doing well. I'm going to school. The family is supporting me. I'm doing good. So 9 years later, church administration came to me and said, we are going to sell this church. It is 125 years old. According to 400 years of history in the United States, 125 years is a historical place. Then they offered me, why you don't purchase this building? I said, even living in this country, I don't have enough money to survive for my school. And how come I'm going to buy a church? Then father said, don't worry about it. Just announce to people, there is no Sri Lankan, no Asian, no Buddhist, all Catholic American people. So then one Saturday morning, I announced to people they are going to sell the church. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so people are looking at me, that means you are leaving. I said, no, I didn't decide to leave, but they are going to sell the property. Then one lady came to me and said, Bhante, we don't want to miss you. We want to keep you here. Therefore, don't leave. Let's buy the church. I said, how come? I'm going to donate 100,000 US dollars. So ask other people to donate too. Don't say my name. I didn't say her name. I announced to people, I got this much money. I need a little bit more money. Can you help? Can you believe within 3 weeks, all the money I made, all Catholic American people, they donated all the money to purchase the building. Then I got the building. So it is a church. Now it is called the Blue Lotus Buddhist Temple. So interesting part, this is the message I want to share with you about my journey. So after I purchased that building, all American people were thinking, he's going to change this building, make it a Buddhist temple. Why? We are totally different group. So anyway, I was thinking to myself, I'm so grateful to the Buddha's teaching and also my practice. I was thinking, last 9 years, I was living with Jesus. He never discriminated me. Community didn't discriminate me, didn't treat me differently. They give me so much love unconditionally. They gave me love and experience in this country. Therefore, I don't want to hurt their culture, their feeling. What I did, I didn't change the church. I kept everything where it was. Only thing I changed, the church is too dark. You know the churches look like, and too dark. I changed the colors of the walls and kept everything where it was. Now it is called the Blue Lotus Buddhist Temple, look like a church. When you walk into our sanctuary, our main meditation hall, first thing people will see, 14 feet tall Jesus. Other side, 12 feet tall Buddha. When I sit on my cushion to teach or practice meditation, I can see Mother Mary in front of me. I have all 3 spiritual leaders with me and practice meditation every single day. Usually Saturday morning, we have 150 people, more than that sometimes, join to meditation practice. Some people are coming from the distance. Because of that combination, they feel they didn't lose their church. I add more into it. That's how they always telling, you didn't destroy our church. What you did, you add more love into it. Now they have Buddha, they have Jesus, they have Mother Mary, and they are practicing meditation. Now, can you believe almost 5,000 families observe Pansel and turn into Buddhists? But I never asked them to become a Buddhist. When people ask me, I want to become a Buddhist, I said, there is no such thing becoming a Buddhist. You can become a Buddhist by practicing the teaching of the Buddha. If you want to become a Buddhist, best thing you can do, you can try to become a Buddha, not to become a Buddhist. I said, Buddha is not Buddhist. People made the Buddhism, people made the Buddhist word, it is a religious word. So therefore, I'm always teaching to people, when we see the world conflict, world wars, most of the time, hidden root is religions. Why people are killing each other? They are killing each other, name of the same God. I prove to the people, no matter who we are, no matter our skin color, no matter where we are coming from, when we are practicing self-love, kindness and compassion, we can live in harmony. under same roof, we can practice the same qualities. Even you don't believe, every year, biggest celebration we have in our temple, Vesak. We don't have any other celebration in our temple because we have 386 1-hour meditation classes per year, other than the retreats. Everyday regular classes, we have 386 meditation classes per year. So our biggest celebration is the Buddha's birthday celebration, Vesak. Even you don't believe, all the people making like a palanquin, like a dolava, they are carrying the Buddha around the city. All these white American people. I think, it's become very viral, that picture in the social media, people seeing it. So therefore, I have a humble feeling what I did in that community. So therefore, I am not teaching a religion. I don't like ism. Because of the ism, people creating problems in the world. Who is right, who is wrong? So therefore, I am teaching to people, I am sharing with people what it is, way it is. That's what people want to know. I never ever ask even one American person to become a Buddhist. When they feel confident about themselves, they came to me, Bhante, we want to follow the Buddhist path. I said, no need to even say it, you are already following it. How come we are going to become a Buddhist? I said, there is no such thing. But they need a certificate. Otherwise, they don't appreciate that. So therefore, they need the appreciation and certificate. What I did, I created one. Now we have a certificate every year. When people are observing 5 precepts, I give them a Pali Buddhist name. And so then I am issuing a certificate. Then they observe 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 8 lifetime precepts, or 10 bodhisattva vows, that means paramitas, observing paramitas to become a bodhisattvas. So that is the way I'm teaching to these local American people. So therefore, I'm a very busy person because I'm traveling around the world more than 200 days per year. My teacher always telling me, Sujata, you are more than living in the earth, you are living in the sky. So that much I'm traveling. So I feel a little bit tired and exhausted about that. Every day I'm traveling. And so anyway, end of the day, I don't have any negative feeling. I'm content. I feel peaceful. End of the day, I feel good. I did something awesome, something wonderful, something beautiful because of my action, because of my attitude, because of my word. Somebody somewhere in this world sleeping peacefully. How wonderful that feeling to have in our mind. So anyway, that is my little bit life experience in the United States. Now I want to talk to you about the word meditation. I know you know the word meditation, but I want to give you my definition about it. This word meditation is the one of the most popular word in our spiritual community. Word meditation, we call bhavana. So, and also meditation and mindfulness is most famous popular words. And also in the United States, meditation and mindfulness is most expensive words in that country. People are paying thousands of dollars to learn about mindfulness and meditation. It is so funny to me. So then I am telling people, no need to spend that much money. I will teach you about it within 30 minutes. So, but people want to do it. I'm totally fine with that. So therefore, these words are very popular words. And also those words are very commercialized right now. It's like a Valentine, very commercialized, because lots of people learn about little bit about mindfulness, and also it is a money pit. They are making money from that. I'm okay with that. If they want to do it, I'm okay with that. I'm not against it. That's what I see in the world right now. So anyway, the word meditation is a powerful word, but I don't know how many people understand in this word. When I'm asking what is meditation, what is the purpose of the meditation, most of the time, American people are answering to me, Meditation for me, simple explanation, it is so relaxing experience for me. I want to relax. Then I am asking you, no need to answer. If you want to relax, I'm asking these American people to, if you want to relax, don't say the word meditation. What are the other activities you are doing to relax your body and mind? Then one lady said, drinking wine. Then I feel so relaxed. Then one person said, walking with my dog is so relaxing. One person said, walking in nature, it is so relaxing. One person said, going for a massage, it is so relaxing. So then other person said, when I'm doing meditation, I feel relaxed too. That is the first benefit of the meditation. You feel relaxed. So therefore, I'm always telling people, Blue Lotus Temple is not your spa. Don't come here just for relax your mind. If you want to relax your mind and body, go to a spa. No need to come to the temple to relax. But when you do meditation, the first experience you have, you feel relaxed. If you can relax, definitely you can meditate. I meet some people, they don't know how to relax. Then I had to teach them how to relax first. Then I had to teach them how to meditate. So relaxation and meditation is totally two different words. The best word I can use for bhavana, developing your mind, cultivation of your mind, mental culture. So that is the purpose of meditation. We have to develop, we have to cultivate mental culture. That is the purpose of the meditation, not just for relaxing your body and mind. So what are the benefits of relaxation? So after you go to a body massage, how do you feel like an hour or two? You feel so good. Sometimes I do it too when I go to the Ayurvedic place to get pain and aches. Oh, that day I feel like enlightened feeling. I feel good. Then I feel so relaxed. After a few hours later, or next day, I don't feel same feeling. What is that means? Benefit of relaxation is temporary. That moment you feel good. But after you go to the real world again, you are the same difficult, annoying person. So that is the nature of the relaxation. And also, when you are relaxing your body and mind, halfway you are sleeping. I call self-hypnotize. When you are relax your mind, self-hypnotize, you feel good, then you are in fantasy world. I call when you are in the relaxed experience, you are like kind of floating, then you are in fantasy. Then what will happen to that fantasy? After a few hours later, you come to the reality again. Then you, oh my God, I was doing the meditation. It doesn't work. I was feeling so good. Now I don't have experience. My meditation is not good. Bhante Sujati is not a meditation teacher. My cushion is not working really well. That's why I cannot do that. You are not good teacher. People are making complaints about it. But why people are complaining about it? Instead of doing or cultivating their mind, what they are doing, they are relaxing their body and mind. They label it, it is meditation. It is not meditation. Okay, I have one experience. One day I was coming to the temple after I was driving, after one of my meditation classes. On the way, because it's not a Sri Lankan community, most of the things we have to take care of ourselves. Usually I'm not the grocery person. Going for groceries, I don't have that much experience. One day, one of my brother monks called me. Actually, one of my friend asked me, Bante, before I meet you, I was doing meditation 15 years. 15 years. But I don't see any benefit. Then I asked, why, David, why you say that? Bhante, the problem in our country, there are so many meditation teachers and the techniques. What we are doing now, teacher to teacher, guru to guru, place to place, we are running and looking for meditation. You never find it. Why? Real meditation practice not with the teachers, not with the gurus, not in the meditation centers. It is inside you. You have to figure it out. Teachers will support you a little bit. So anyway, I had that experience. Then I realized I don't have that experience because we don't have so many meditation teachers in Sri Lanka. So anyway, I was having that idea in mind. One day when I'm driving to the temple after meditation class, one of my brother monks called me, hey, listen. So we are running out tea because we are drinking people because Ceylon tree, right? Coming from Sri Lanka. Then he asked me, if you are close to a grocery store, could you please go and buy some tea? I said, okay, I will do that. And then I went to the grocery store first time looking for some tea. I don't know. I asked the man, I want to find some tea. Show me the aisle. Then he go to the aisle 9. You can see the left side. You can pick whatever tea you want. Then I went to the aisle looking for some tea. People are living out of Sri Lanka. You all know that. I saw 1,000 kind of tea. Then because most of the time when we are children, we have seen black tea in Sri Lanka. That's what we know. Now I can see 1,000 kind of tea brands. So then I was so confused. Then what I did, I called my brother monk and I asked, what kind of tea do you want? That's the question I asked. Then he said, what are you talking about? We just need tea. Then I realized now I'm so confused in middle of the tea aisle. Why there are so many options? Then I was thinking that David, he said there are so many teachers and the techniques in this country. He is confused with the meditation teachers and the techniques. Then I am confused with tea. David is confused with the meditation and the techniques and the teachers. We all are confused anyway. What I did, it is so funny. What I did, I'm so used to that Western culture now. I grab one, I start to read the labels because there are so many kind. One tea I found good for sleep, good for wake up. Yogi's tea, calming the mind, inner peace, tranquil your mind, tension tamer, eliminate stress. Those are the names of the tree brand. I was thinking all sounds wonderful. I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. Everything looked good. Can you believe, even you don't believe, there was a tea. It's called pregnancy tea. I made the joke to the owner of the store. This is not for me. Now think about now making so many tree brands, what people are doing, understanding people's emotions. They are giving the product to the world, following the people's emotions. So then people are, instead of following awareness or mindfulness, they are following emotions. They are keep purchasing things. So therefore, you can purchase thing. One, you can purchase thing emotionally. One person can purchase thing mindfully. So now it's up to you. You can decide which way you want to go. So anyway, that's how I see running place to place, teacher to teacher, guru to guru. You never find peace. You never find inner contentment. No. So teachers can help you, but better for you to understand about yourself. So therefore, when I come to Sri Lanka, I'm always telling people I am not giving bana. I'm always telling that. Even I'm giving a talk, I'm telling people this is not, I'm not giving you a bana. So my own meditation journey, my inner journey, I can see two dharmas. I made myself these two dharmas. One I call head dharma. Head dharma. Head dharma means things we borrowed from the books and the teachers and listening to other people, collecting facts and details. Then they are giving those information out. So that one I call head dharma. That means studying books, listening to the teachers. Now, like a parrot, they are repeating those information to other people. It will happen to monks. It will happen to people. I will give you one example. During the COVID time, there was a erudicate monk. He has a PhD in the United States. He gave a talk about how to find jhanas. I was, listening to that talk too, because I'm always listening to those talks. I was thinking, he is going to make a mess today. Why? He is teaching to people how to attain to jhanas. So end of the program, there's a question and answers. One gentleman, white man, he asked the first question, Bhante, do you already attain to, receive jhanas? You already have the jhanas. You talk about the jhanas, how to find jhanas. You have jhanas now. Then monks cannot lie. Then he said, no, I don't. Then how come you talk about jhanas if you don't have it? Then he said, what I said from the books. What book says? Then he said, now we are living in 21st century. Therefore, no need to talk from the books. I was driving to listen to this talk, hour and a half. I was driving. Why I was driving hour and a half, listen to your talk from a book? I don't want that. So if instead of driving hour and a half, if I Google it, I can find all the details within a 5 minutes, I can understand about it. Therefore, I don't want to hear something from the book. Therefore, the way Bhante, I felt embarrassed about it. Then he said, way Bhante Sujata is always talking, talk from your heart. Talk what you practice. We don't want books. We respect the books, but we need your inner experience. How wonderful that idea. So therefore, one dharma I call the head dharma, talking from the head. Other one, I call it heart dharma, talking from the heart through your experiences. So what I give today, this is my experience. This is how I practice. This is how I learn. So therefore, you can accept it if you want. If you want to reject it, you can reject it. If you don't like it, you can say, Bhante, I don't like it. I'm totally fine. I don't feel hurt. If I feel hurt after you add something like that, that means my meditation practice is not going well. This makes sense now? So therefore, I am going to give you heart dharma. So my first year or two when I'm teaching meditation at the Blue Lotus Temple, so I was teaching most common popular meditation technique as a mindfulness practice is, Anapanasati. We call the breathing techniques. There's lots of science behind it. So I was teaching that. So as I listen to myself always, after a year or two later, I was observing, thinking of people, listening to them, their experiences. Even they are happy and smiling to me, I felt something not right. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I won't figure it out. One Saturday morning, I announced to people, next Saturday, I'm going to do totally different program. Please make 15 minutes a time slot with me, personal meeting, because I have 15, 20 people. I am going to give you 15 minutes to each person. Please come to my place, monk's residence, sit with me 15 minutes, tell me your story, tell me your experiences about your inner journey. So now every day, whole day, I did these personal interviews. It's a very funny, actually profound experience for me. Now as a team, as a group, when they come to the temple, sit with me, they are smiling, they are laughing, they are joking. After meditation, they are joyful. Now personal level, then when they are sitting with me, they are not joyful. Why? They are telling me their personal experiences. So now they are crying, emotional. I feel this hurt. I have this wound. My husband cheat me. My wife cheat me. I lost my son. All those problems people are sharing with me. Then I was thinking, as a group of people, they are smiling and happy, but in a personal level, I can see they are unhappy. So after listening to these 15, 20 people, I realized no matter who we are carrying self-hatred and anger. We are carrying self-hatred and anger. But in a public setting, we know that's the human nature. We know how to hide them. That's why they are smiling. But personal level, they cannot smile. They are crying. So Therefore, I was thinking after this experience, instead of teaching them deep mindfulness meditation, first I want to teach them how to heal their wounded hearts. So therefore, one Saturday morning, I was telling people, and on Saturday morning, today I am going to teach you new meditation technique, which is called loving kindness meditation. That's how I started loving kindness meditation. Now people made me a nickname for me. They call me Bhante Sujata, the loving kindness monk. That's my life theme. I don't know who made it. Now people use it all the time. So then when I say today I'm going to teach you new technique, loving kindness meditation, Western people are very outgoing characters, not like a Sri Lankan Buddhist and like this. And they said, yay, we are very happy. Why? New technique today. Then I was thinking, now they are excited. Definitely they are in trouble. I didn't say that. I said, okay. I said, nothing to worry. I'm going to teach you. First, you are going to repeat, I am well, I am happy, I am peaceful. May all living beings be well, happy, and peaceful. Just simple few words, just repeat like 20 minutes. I made that simple exercise with these people. Now people said it, did it. After 20 minutes later, I asked, they were excited. I asked, how do you feel? Now those excited people, they are so quiet. Then they said, it is okay. Oh my God, it is difficult. Some people say it is difficult. It takes time. Then there was a lady. Her name is Nancy. Okay, this is so funny. Her name is Nancy. Every morning when she come to meditation, she go to the Starbucks. She go to the Starbucks, is a popular coffee place in the United States. She go to the Starbucks. She bring 2 coffees. One for Bhante Sujata, one for her. That's how she is coming to the temple every Saturday morning, holding 2 cups of coffee like this from the Starbucks, bringing to me one, offering me lovingly, and I'm drinking my coffee. Then she's having her coffee. Then I'm teaching to meditation. Very simple way we used to live, very beginning of my life there. So that morning also she gave me the coffee. Then she was always sitting my face to face in front of me. I asked Nancy, how do you feel about loving kindness meditation? Here you go. This is what she said. Right away she said, angry face, I hate loving kindness meditation. I hate loving kindness meditation. I was shocked. Why? She's a wonderful, loving person. Right away, that's the nature of American people, very direct. She said, I hate loving kindness meditation. Then everybody was kind of shocked and looking at me. I asked her, why do you hate loving kindness meditation? Then she said angrily, it doesn't make any sense what you said. I said, please explain to me. She said, I can practice loving kindness for other people. I'm always doing. But you asked me to practice self-love, self-loving kindness meditation. It is impossible. It is impossible. Then she said, according to my religious background, according to my cultural background, if I practice self-love, I'm a selfish person. What I heard when I was young, share your toys with your brother, don't be selfish. Therefore, self-love is a selfish, I don't want to practice it. Then I said, sorry, Nancy, to say this, if you don't know how to love yourself, how you are going to love other people? I asked that question. She said, I can do it. I said, give me an example. That time I am not on even this building. So then she said, I am the one coordinating homeless people program at the church. I'm the coordinator. I'm taking care of homeless people. I'm giving them food. I'm giving them bed sheet. I'm taking care of their meals and everything. So that means I'm practicing loving kindness for the world. I'm not selfish person. I have compassion. I don't want to be selfish. See, I'm doing it. I said, what you are doing is so amazing. I'm so grateful. Continue your practice. But still there is an issue. I said, if you are not practicing self-love, you cannot practice loving kindness for other people. I said, period, you can do it. I was very firm about it. Then she said, I can do it. But I said, no, you cannot. Now we are going back and forth. Now I felt I was listening to my heart again. Universe is telling me she was stuck. I had to take her out from this trap. Then I said, now I'm going to give her example. I said, Nancy, just imagine I'm asking you all to, I asked everybody in the audience now and that day, today you are going to give me a gift. Giving a gift in the Western countries is a big deal. We had to open it in front of the people and say, we are so excited, how wonderful. I never received such a gift in my life. This is so awesome. This is the best gift I ever received. I have to appreciate all the wonderful words. I have to say it in front of all the people. Then I said, I'm so grateful for your gift. After I receive your gift, I drop it, I leave it under my table or somewhere, or I push it back or something like that. I don't say thank you to Nancy. I don't appreciate you. I don't open your gift. How do you feel? How do you feel? Then she said, oh my God, this is what she said. She said, you are a terrible Buddhist monk. That's what she said. You are a terrible Buddhist monk. Why? You don't know about appreciation, kindness, and compassion, talking and giving punyanumodana. That's our word. And you don't do that? That means how come we call you loving kindness monk? You are terrible Buddhist monk. Then I said, thank you so much, Nancy. I can handle it. However, she got into my trap. So otherwise, I cannot manage with the people. Then I said, here you go. Then I asked her, giving this gift to this monk, are you practicing loving kindness? Giving this gift, are you practicing loving kindness for this monk? She said, yes, that's why I spend my money. I said, no, I'm very sorry to say this. Nancy, I said it my own words. I said, Nancy, according to your gift, you are the most selfish person in the world. Why? You are thinking of yourself, not about the person you gave the gift. So after you give a gift to me, it is belong to me. If I don't say thank you or appreciate, that's my problem. That's my practice. I have to take care of that myself. If you have an expectation to listen to appreciation, that's your problem. That means still I'm holding your gift, but mentally you are holding it. You didn't let it go. That's why you are waiting. So that means you are a selfish person in the world. I said it in front of all the people. I know I put the bomb. Now just imagine what happened if I say something like that. I knew she's going to be upset, but intentionally I said it. Then right after say that, she get up from her cushion, grab her purse, and angrily yelled at me. She said, you are not a loving kindness monk. I never return to this place again. I am leaving. She stormed out. She let out. Then people asked me, Bhante, what you did? I said, calm down, everybody. Let me handle my mess. You know, if you understand, that's enough for me. Then everybody left. Then what happened in the evening? She sent me a long email. How mean you are, how rude you are. You hurt my feeling, how much I love you. I bring you coffee. Then I sent, a nice email to her. Nancy, I love you too. I care about you. I always appreciate you. But I was trying to tell you, this is not your practice. Please listen to me. I care about you. You said I'm a selfish person. I'm not. Then I sent a kind and nice email. Then she sent me another negative email. Then I sent another explanation, kind email. Then she sent another angry email. Back and forth, we are sending emails. Angry one, kind one. Angry one, kind one. After 3 or 4 emails, now I felt she's pushing my buttons. Why? Practicing loving kindness does not mean practicing foolishness. This makes sense? Practicing loving kindness does not mean practicing foolishness. So, be a cobra, you can hiss, but don't bite. This makes sense? What cobra does, first he hisses like that. Then, if you don't walk away from the cobra, then cobra will bite you. So what I did, I hiss, but I didn't bite. So then I sent a last email, Nancy, you don't learn. I'm very sorry. If you want to send me emails, please do, but I'm not going to reply to you. I just delete it every time. Now she keeps sending me emails. Every time when I see Nancy name, I just highlight and delete. I don't want to involve. So after 3 or 4 months later, this is what I'm going to tell you about the wounded mind. Okay. After 3 or 4 months later, there was another email from her. Subject line says, be kind, please read my email and response. Then I open the email. It's a long email. I think still somewhere I have that email. She was writing, Bante, I'm very sorry. Today is my 40th birthday. I'm living by myself. I don't have any family members. I am thinking of you. I really miss you. I really miss your teaching. Finally, I got it, all the teaching. I want to tell you the truth. Now think about, I want to tell you the truth. When I was 10 years old, I was living in Los Angeles with my mother. My mother is a single woman, drug addict and alcoholic. As a single mother, we all know how difficult to raise a child. So my mother is a drug addict, abuse, physically, emotionally, mentally, she abused me. She gave me lots of punishment. She didn't have time for me. Finally, what happened, Bante? When I was 15 years old, we moved to Illinois, Chicago. Then, right after I turned into 18, I had the big fight with my mother. I escaped from the house. Now, 18 to 40, I never seen my mother, but I have idea where she is living. Now, that many years, I never talked to my mother. Why? I was so angry with her. When you were talking about self-love, I felt it. It's a good thing. But same time, my mind was telling me, Bante, don't accept it. Why? I have a big job to do. I want to take the revenge. I want to do something bad for my mother. After do that, all the bad stuff for my mother, I am going to be a good girl. That's why I was arguing and fighting with you. I was trying to convince you, but however, you didn't take my fireball. You were smart, you didn't take it. I was trying angrily to convince you, but you didn't take it. You always try to convince me. Finally, you gave up on me, but I never give up on you. I was thinking one day I really need help. That's why, Bante, my 40th birthday, I'm writing this email. End of that email, she was saying this, if my mother knows better, she never do this. Therefore, Bante, I am ready to forgive her. I am ready to practice. I am ready to forgive her. Then I was writing a nice email to her. Then I sent it. I said, Nancy, you got it. I'm very happy, my friend, about you. Continue your practice. I never invited her to come back to the temple. Why? Temple is open to public. Anytime they can come and go. So I was continuing my journey. So one day, snowy day in Chicago, I saw handicap access door open. Somebody, elderly woman, standing in front of the handicap access door and holding a walker, waiting to come in. I just hold the door for her. I help her to come in. Then before I take her in, I was looking outside, somebody is coming. I saw another person also coming. Right away, I recognized my friend Nancy. Nancy go and reunited with mother. After that many years, she took mother to the meditation. Then this mother practiced with me meditation. She called me grandson. I call her grandma. And so every day she called me 2 times. She's giving me my grandma, I call my white grandma, and she's calling me 2 times per day and to make sure about my dani. If I don't have food, she will order something right away. She will send it to me for my food. So then she learned how to meditate, and also she learned how to chant loving kindness discourse with me. She was a great chanter. Then her 90s, she came to me and said, my son, my grandson, I don't have that many years to live. but I'm ready to die. Thank you so much, all the teaching. But one last request I have for you. The day I am dying, I want to die in front of you. So therefore, the moment I am passing, please come and chant for me. I said, Grandma, definitely I'm going to do it. So she was dying. I went to the nursing home. I was chanting her favorite Karaniyametta Sutra. I was chanting. She cannot respond at all. During my chanting, I opened my eyes. I was holding her hands and chanting. I was opened my eyes. I was looking at her. I saw tears going down. What did that mean? She can hear the chanting, but she cannot respond. So after I did my chanting, when I'm fading or finishing my chanting,